sip our worries away, nice and slow. Your laughter ripples like sweet warm wine. In this jazzy sultry space you're mine. The saxophone croons a velvet tune, while melodies dance beneath the moon. We'll toast to moments both grand and small, in this hazy, lazy, jazz-touched hall. Let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you. They sparkle with every click, sweet rendezvous over a simple drink. We'll share our secrets in whispers low, just you and me where the jazz flows slow. The world outside fades into the mist, but here it's our own dreamy tryst. With each sip our worries drift away. Let's stay together till the break of day. So let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you.
The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome back to Last Call and the third part of our Doctor Who retrospective. We enter an era that is commonly viewed as, if the Tom Baker era was the high point of the franchise, what came after was a descent down the other side of the hill. It faced showrunners who had no love for the show, a network funded by government money with no concern about profitability, and a dislike for both the franchise and its loyal fan base. Ultimately, Doctor Who found itself not being explicitly canceled, but put on indefinite hiatus. History may not repeat, but it certainly rhymes. So top off your glasses, tell me what you're sipping on in the chat, and we'll wind down the classic era of Doctor Who after a mood-setting tale by Geek Flag with Nate Knows.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Now a different tale, Peter Davison taking over from Tom Baker. Well, I did not warm up to this idea immediately. In fact, I hated it. He was too pretty boy. His voice lacked authority. He looked like he was ready to go to the country club instead of fighting Daleks. I did finish his first 4-part venture, Castrovalva, but I just caught an episode or two here and there after that. He just wasn't my doctor. Sure, his 3 companions were familiar to me, Adric, Nyssa, and Tegan, but it just wasn't the same dynamic. I've warmed up to Peter Davidson's portrayal of the Doctor over the years, but he's still no Tom Baker. Geek Flag with Nate Knows, 1973.
I'm going to take the con to start out and say hi to everybody. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you all. Yeah, I did feel like maybe that's not the most positive entry into Peter Davison, but I do think it speaks to how a lot of people felt at the time, and as you're going to see, how a lot of people felt when Colin Baker came along as well. We'll get into that, of course. But first, Brutal week. This has probably been the most brutal week I've had since COVID, to be honest with you. So you know what that means.
Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken! The Kraken!
Why?
Well, there you go. Salud. So, yeah, tonight's a Kraken night. But, yeah, it was a brutal week. I'm tired of being treated like a god. People denying your existence until they want something from you. And then when they get it, they cast you away again. That's just how I'm feeling tonight. So it's good to commiserate with all my friends. Starting with, of course, the wonderful people on the panel that are with me every single week, including my lovely netter of Netters Network. How you doing, my dear? And what is it that you are sipping on tonight?
I am doing okay. I've survived the week, and you can show what I'm drinking because that's a
This is not a sponsored stream, by the way, and I guess I would have to go bigified again to show it. What's it called again? It's
Witty Monkey.
Witty Monkey. What is it?
Citrus Wheat Ale.
Wheat Ale. It was something that she took a sip of when we were over at Binny's last week, and she's.
I thought it tasted interesting. Now that it's been a couple weeks, it's like, does it still taste interesting? I figure if I don't like it, I can always use it in baking bread.
That's a good point too, and
or I can go old school, and yeah, you youngers probably won't know this, but it used to be when I was a teenager, you would wash your hair with beer, and it would like bring out the shine and all that in it, and supposedly make it healthier.
I remember there was a brand of shampoo where they talked about it having beer in it, but don't drink it, they would say.
Yeah.
And Svengoolie, at the time he was son of Svengoolie, and he did a parody of that. And he goes, I know, don't drink it. And the announcer goes, no, sure, go ahead, drink it. What do we care? It could kill you. I don't know, but you do you. No, of course, back then they weren't saying you do you. That's a more recent thing, but I'm paraphrasing, of course. And of course, this master-looking guy, aged boomer, my designated driver. You might have to end the stream tonight. You never know. How you doing, my friend? What you sipping on?
I got myself an unsweetened iced tea because, well, I guess English drink hot tea, but it's close enough, right?
and designated driver. No, I totally get that.
Actually, I should have had Turlo as my pick. He's a redhead. Though I believe the actor is blonde in real life. He died.
That is true, but I'm glad you're going with the master because... well, we'll talk about that when we get to the regeneration.
He's through all of these doctors tonight. You will see.
But I especially have a point to make during the regeneration scene.
Yes.
And thank you. So very first mention of the night, of course, is Ruby Hoove, who is a wonderful, wonderful supporter of the channel, who comes in gifting a membership tonight that went to Terry Rose. Welcome, Terry Rose. And I did tag you in the description, as I do with all the members. I'm going to try to do that from now on, so that you're at least tagged to the video that you become a member in. I'll add you to the credits for next week, of course. But thank you so much. And of course, the gentleman who gave his story to me in advance of the show so that I could put it together in a little bit of a snippet for you there, is here celebrating 5 months of membership, which I greatly, greatly appreciate. You are a great, great supporter of the channel. As is Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips, who regularly shares out the stream on social media. Super, super appreciate you for that. I'm going to be hanging out with him on Tuesday for a rewatch of Tron, I believe. Haven't ironed out the details yet, but I've tentatively already responded back to him on that.
That's a classic.
It really is.
Is it a response to the new Ares trailer that got unveiled?
I suspect it is. And Netter has just recently ordered me Tron Legacy, which I didn't have in my collection. And I have obtained. I
Blu-ray
have
or DVD?
obtained the cartoon series. I just got the DVD.
It's a good print, regardless.
I know.
And
I know.
I have both of those. I don't have the series because, as you mentioned, it's not available through the Disney
Hook
itself.
you up. I'll hook you up. Yeah, I just obtained it today.
Well, I do have a birthday coming up.
There you go. There you
But,
go. Oops, I didn't mean to take you down because I hadn't said hi to you yet. Films with Friends says hello. Thank you so much for being here, Big Al. And of course, check out, he just had a 10-word review go up today. Go check that out, please. You should already be subscribed to him. I hope you are. And Doctor Who time. Yes, very timey-wimey. Welcome, Jesse Green 619. Good to see you. And we get a salute from Deleted Scenes, who is doing a Film with Friends raid with Big Al. They were watching a Val Kilmer film tonight. I know you guys had a lot of fun. And he says hail to the chat as well. Yes, exactly. And like, share, subscribe, become a member if you aren't one already. I absolutely need the support in order to keep doing what it is that I do. Curtis Selby, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. The tired midnight blogger. Always appreciate when you're here. And of course, JPRPH1 dropping the emojis over on Netter's channel because he is a member. Thank you so much for supporting us, my friend. You are wonderful. Yes, Jesse is getting impatient, and I don't blame you. We will get to things as quickly as possible. And of course, Netter of Netters Network, right over here. I love you, my dear, too. I mean, she's actually in front of me, but to you guys, it looks like she's over here, so that's why I'm pointing that way.
But if you think about what Geek Flag was saying earlier, though, he was introduced to Baker pretty early on, so him getting a new doctor was a big deal because he, as an American, we hadn't discovered really.
True for him, that was his first regeneration.
Yes.
And we have said this with almost every regeneration, fans going all the way back. People are like, "Oh, I don't like this new doctor," and it's like you haven't given him a chance. Get used to it.
You don't like him until he leaves, and then you miss him. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Clue Channel with a $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I shot for the guy at the end of the bar. Please. Oh, he's actually buying me a shot, Netter.
Yep.
Would you be willing to pour me a shot? I've got. This would be a great opportunity for me to try that new one that's in the freezer. But I don't know if I must have some shot glasses back there.
Please.
Yeah. Midget, please. That's a reference you'll have to wait until a Netter stream to get if you don't already know the deep dive that comes from. And I see you guys all saying hi to each other, which I appreciate. That's yes, exactly.
Look at that.
Agent Boomer is in the chat.
Yes,
the hell you doing down there? No. Saying hi to Netter. That's nice. Oh, Connie Cleary. Yeah, usually I see you up front. That's okay. That's okay. As long as you're here, because I would miss the bird woman of YouTube if you weren't here. Good to see you. Let's see. And, dude, another one from Clue Channel. I think Netter's hitting on you, bro. Yeah, probably. Very, very likely. Very, very likely. At least I hope so. Look, whether or not anything fun happens tonight, she is taking me to bed. So just saying.
You should have waffles in the morning.
Why waffles?
I don't know, because they just popped in my head.
Or is there some sort of a salacious reference that I'm missing?
No, I just think waffles, because I haven't had waffles in a while. Not every place serves waffles. Even when you go to a breakfast place, you can't always get a waffle. You can get
Yeah,
pancakes,
we
you
don't
can get
have a
French
waffle
toast.
iron.
Then
We
that's
don't
not
have
going
a
to work
waffle.
for you.
Yeah,
You're
we
not
don't
going to
have a
get
waffle
waffles.
iron, and
Not
I
getting
don't
waffles.
think we have any frozen waffles. And look, I'm going to just say this. This is a hot take. Some of you might unsubscribe from me for saying this, but I like frozen waffles. I think they're pretty much as good as fresh waffles. You know,
Eggo waffles?
sure. Well, okay. In fairness, I haven't had Eggos in a long time.
I don't think they're terrible, but
Okay,
they're
I don't
not
know.
as good as having an actual waffle.
I don't know if you can read, but on the front that's facing you, it says cheers.
It does say cheers. This is actually one of our Christmas ones, but you can't see it on the frosted
We've
glass.
got ones that say cheers. What was it like? Yeah, they're all drink related. So
this was a whiskey that was recommended to me by he was a member on your, or he was a guest on your channel recently.
Left Eye Ego, wasn't it? No.
The actor dude. He was just on recently. Good looking guy. Anyway,
hold on. I'll tell you. 1 sec.
He recommended
Kyle Corwith.
Huh?
Kyle Corwith.
Kyle Corwith, right? He's a regular over on Deleted Scenes channel.
As soon as you said the actor guy,
heck of a nice guy. Recommended this particular brand of whiskey to me. Inexpensive, but from what he says, it's very good. And I have not had a chance to try it yet. So Clue has bought me a shot, and I am going to have this shot. Ooh.
That sounds tasty.
Oh, that's pretty smooth. I mean, it burns a little going down, but you expect that from a good whiskey. Oh, very, very woody. Very woody. In a good way.
It comes from a wood's rum-soaked barrel, right?
Exactly right. Oh, yeah, let me chase it.
Chase it with what?
The other super chat you got from Clue?
Yes, I said you were pouring the drink. I said yes. Right. I think Netter's hitting on you, bro. And that's when I made a joke. I said, even if nothing salacious happens, she is taking me to bed tonight. So.
All right.
But so anyway, yeah.
Big Al said he had waffles this morning.
You know what? So Netter and I, we are following the chat right now on our new
55-inch OLED TV.
There you go. From Samsung. We lamented the loss of our previous one, but this one is so sharp. You know, in our previous plasma TV, there was no black. It was just dark gray. You know, and the colors kind of bled. This is so crisp, and the black is black.
When they show the there's like a, what do you call it, wallpaper for when we're not doing anything with it. It looks like you're looking at a window. It's so sharp and clear. It just looks like you're looking outside.
Yeah. We were watching not Midnight's Edge, a WDW Pro video about their most recent one about Gina Carano. And they're showing footage of someone walking through Star Wars land, whatever that's called. And Netter's like, wow, that is so crisp. You know, is someone filming that with like a high def camera? And I'm like, nowadays iPhones have high definition cameras, and YouTube compresses really, really bad. So this could actually be even better.
Super chat.
I saw. Thank you. Geek Flag when 8 knows. Okay, you two, get a room. You talking about me and Boomer?
I know what automobiles now.
Well, between the 30-second delay and then the time it takes to, type it in, hit the send the super chat and stuff. I
Going
get the
back to the waffles, Connie Cleary said, "Mom and I make homemade mini waffles or pancakes. Whatever's left, we freeze them." That's
That's
cool.
Yeah.
good. Good idea.
So thank you for getting me back on track. So we're watching. I was talking about this on the MeWe group. Link in the description. I post on MeWe in the last call group that I've created there. So throughout the week, we have. We share memes and chats, and I share videos there. And a group member shared a video from a YouTuber that we like from Ireland, Sergeant Ducky. I'll give him a shout. Sergeant Ducky.
That's just Ducky.
Very, very, very funny. Very funny. I mean, Netter and I laugh like crazy. He shares it, but I already follow the guy, so I already had it shared to my watch later, and I was sharing with him. Yeah, we got it shared to our watch later. We can't watch it together until we get a new TV, which won't be until next week, which I was saying this last week. Now this week we got the new TV. And so we're watching all the stuff that I was putting in the watch later to share with Netter. And so we've got Sergeant Ducky, and we've got Call Me Kevin, and Gray Still Plays, and I don't know. We had hours of video to watch. And one of the videos was Gray Still Plays he plays all kinds of crazy games on Steam. And one of them, it was a horror game where you are working in a kiosk making fast food. People are coming to the window, low resolution, bad graphics. That's the charm and the humor of it. And one of the things he has to make is pancakes.
Oh.
And it's like, and the pancakes, he's like, geez, now I kind of have a taste for pancakes. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, now I kind of do too.
Oh,
You know?
does like a little kid come up to the counter and start yelling, pancakes, pancakes, pancakes? Remember, you ever see Cabin Fever? That's what the kid in Cabin Fever does, and then bites the guy's arm for no reason.
I don't know that, but there's an Adult Swim. I don't remember what the cartoon is. Making pancakes, making bacon pancakes. You put some bacon in a pancake. No, I'm sorry. I'm too drunk to be talking
Bacon
about this kind of stuff.
pancakes.
Bacon pancakes. Yeah, Netter knows my particular brand of crazy. Ask Troy the question I asked later.
I don't know. Guess we'll get there.
Let me back up.
Is that a timey-wimey thing?
I don't know. Hi, last call to Troy Pacelli.
Well, I'm looking for all of the messages.
I'm gonna rely on Netter and Boomer to fill me in if necessary, because between the shot and the Kraken, I'm already.
You should put the presentation in before you forget how to.
This is how the designated driver drives, right?
Okay, put the presentation. Let's see it.
Okay, sorry, Railway Nation game. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm not finding.
If you can repost whatever the point is you wanted to make, we'll.
Yeah, because it's like, according to the chat,
I'm sorry.
there are
just
9 times when your name is mentioned, and none of them are like a question or statement or anything that that.
Yeah, help us out here, man.
And all that.
Hey, it's not spam if we missed a comment and we're asking you, go ahead. Repeat whatever it was you wanted to say. I do want to call Netter's attention to her current icon. I put in blue flames around your icon because I know you love blue, and I thought you'd be encouraged.
Blue's my favorite color.
Yep, absolutely. Doctor Who, the new wave. So before you get started, one thing I do want to point out is we're transitioning from Tom Baker to Peter Davison.
Yes.
We are getting a new what do you call it? Symphonic,
intro, electronic rock and roll intro.
Yeah,
Yes. I call it. That's why I put new wave, because it's kind of a new wave sound.
This is and I forget.
It's the 80s, man. We're in the 80s now.
Someone in the chat can because I didn't do my research, and even if I did, I'd have forgotten because I'm drunk. But the BBC had their symphonic whatever it was that
radiophonic, I think, workshop. The BBC Radiophonic Workshop, I think it was called.
Okay, yeah. That might be it.
Yes.
And they created the original Doctor Who theme back in, what was it, 63?
Yes.
And they used very, very cutting edge techniques.
Yes.
I don't know if a theremin was involved. It should have been, I feel like, but it was very cutting edge. So honestly, when you start getting into the Peter Davison era with the synth wave, electronic, it's like this is very, very appropriate, and I really did love this. Geek Flag says, boyfriend says to girlfriend, I think I got a crush on Beyonce. Girlfriend says, whatever floats your boat. Boyfriend responds, no, that's Beyonce. Or buoyancy. Oh, I get it. That's cute. Yeah, Nate is big on the dad jokes. I love that stuff. But
all right. So it's a new era for Doctor Who. Now, I would argue that this era actually does begin with the final Tom Baker season.
Right.
But it really hits in the high gear.
Because we are talking about the carryover of the companions.
There you go. There's Peter Davidson's Visage.
Yep.
Now, what was he on before this? Did All Creatures Great and Small come before this? I know he was on that, I think, on the BBC, right?
Well,
ITV?
If someone in the chat could confirm that for me, I don't remember which came first.
That's now the big.
When was Peter Davidson on All Creatures Great and Small?
From Medium.com. Davidson, best known for playing the Fifth Doctor in classic Doctor Who, worked on All Creatures Great and Small from 1978 to 1990.
Yes. So, in other words, he was 78.
So he must have dropped in and out of it then. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's now the big popular masterpiece show right now on PBS right
now.
There is
a great look. His tenure on All Creatures Great and Small was, well, excuse the pun, but great. It was great. There was one scene I remember where he's called in because a farmer is having a problem with his cow.
Yes.
His cow is having some issues. And I'm sorry, I should say it in the British, issues. And that is not me slurring my words. Actually, I think issues, the way the Americans say it, is actually slurring your words. It is spelled ISSUES. The British pronounce it correctly. We slur the word. Anyway, that's beside the point. And he realizes that the cow is having gastric discomfort and is unable to belch. So he does a very, very small incision into one of the cow's stomachs. Remember, cows have multiple stomachs to relieve the pressure.
Yes.
Huh? Do they have 4? Yeah.
Okay.
In so doing, the gas is expelled from its side, spewing the contents of its stomach all over everyone who's present. I don't know if BritBox is carrying the classic All Creatures Great and Small, but it's worth checking out.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that the new version is very popular right now. Yes.
I hadn't even known there was a new version.
It's the most popular PBS show right now. It's like the big
PBS good. The original was great, so why not?
It's old school. It takes place in the 40s. Like, it starts out in the Great Depression. Now Britain's at war with Germany and all that because of World War II.
Good. So maybe they learned that you don't have to update everything that you that you do. Maybe they learned a thing or two from Downton Abbey.
One day I will check out the Peter Davidson version, though, because I'm very curious. But here we go. Moving on to... here is the crew. We got Adric, we got Tegan, we got Nyssa, and we have the fifth Doctor, Peter Davidson. A new companions, new Doctor, new era, new decade, new everything.
So
I
if
think they were
could-
trying to make this completely new in a way. Not
No,
soft. I don't want to say soft reboot, but it's a modern audience. They figure the kids, the 80s kids, the rock and
to be
rollers.
fair, in a
the
way,
Doctor.
every regeneration is kind of a soft reboot, right?
Yes,
that is
true.
one of the upsides to the Doctor Who thing. And I do have to say, this is probably the first time where I started noticing a companion in Nyssa and going, hello.
Yeah, I remember the one actor that plays one of the Siren later on said that I forget the actress who played Tegan, but Tegan kept having to fall into him over and over again. He says, I could think of worse things.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Tegan was, I had no particular, thoughts about her during the production, but as with a number of Doctor Who alum, that I got to know the actor more than I got to know their character. I met her at a Chicago TARDIS, and she was just so nice. It was like, I'm going to have to revisit her tenure just because she as an actress was so nice,
Well, she is an odd companion in that she didn't necessarily want to be there. That was always the impression you got from Tegan. It's like, I'm just kind of here. I think she got...
Okay, so I have to... Okay, I love this. Two things that I want to bring up about this picture you've just brought up. First, he's playing the recorder. That's the second Doctor's recorder. So, again... a later incarnation revisiting, elements of a previous Doctor. The way he's got his jacket and hat hanging there, Netter and I we've talked about our steampunk days and the costumes and all that kind of stuff, sewing her Victorian dresses and whatnot. And we would go with some friends that roped us into all of that, who we would go to this textile outlet here in the Chicago area, where they would often go to buy materials for the local Renaissance fair. And in one of the rooms, they literally had that jacket and hat hanging. Now, I don't believe they were screen used. I think they were examples of people making costumes with the textiles, in that shop. But let me tell you, it was kind of cool to walk in and see, the Doctor's jacket and hat and go, hey, I know what that is. And feel just a little bit better about,
So Geek Flag's saying that hat looks like a church lady's hat. Okay, here's what it is. This is a cricket uniform. One could argue this is one of the most normal outfits.
This is what,
until we get David Tennant, maybe, or it's like one of the most normal outfits the Doctor ever wore. Yes,
we do have to say that as Nate was saying, in his little entry, he did look like an Ivy League type kid. He walking around with a cricket bat. It was this particular Doctor shtick. I want to say hi to Robert's Infinite Realms. Thank you for being here. What's up, party people? Davison, who pees through because I didn't understand regeneration at the time. Oops. Oh, I understand. I get what you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
I see. Because he had started with Ark in Space, which was the second Tom Baker episode, which did, and the prior one had the regeneration, or at least had something about it in the beginning, so he wouldn't have known about it. Yeah, it's interesting. But
and driving songs, I want to say hello to you as well. And later, the Doctor used that move to defeat the Dalek conquest, thereafter to be referred to as the cow splooge attack.
Oh my goodness!
That's.
I'm sure that's in one of the Big Finish productions.
If you are not already subscribed to the channel, please do. You're going to fit in just perfectly here, my friend.
All right. So here we have, the cricket outfit. It's what he wears. He has the celery and the lapel. That's explained in the final episode of the Peter Davison's tenure. We'll get there. Anyway, moving on. He's trying out the recorder as he's trying to figure out what am I going to dress as. Oddly enough, I think when he's wearing the cricket outfit, when they visit the episode where they visit the 1920s England, he actually looks period appropriate.
Period appropriate. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And that's one of the cool things about the Doctor, right? Because he oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, it fits right in with the martinis. There you go, my friend.
See, I always figured he had that stock of celery in case he got hungry. Got a little.
That is the implication. But
he said that like what happens because if there's a particular type of noxious gas on the planet that's harmful to Time Lords, the celery will turn purple. And then she says, "Then what do you do with the celery? I eat it. It's at least good for my teeth." Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, exactly right. And this was again so we already were doing this with we had John Pertwee, who was the dandy, right, with the ruffles and all that kind of stuff. Then we go into Tom Baker with the long crazy scarf, right?
Yep.
Now we got the cricket outfit and the celery stalk, and we're going to continue to get more and more bizarre until it goes on hiatus.
Well, don't get me. We'll get there. Colin Baker was not happy about his outfit, but we'll touch on that a little later. Here we go. Moving on, though. First episode, I believe, is Legopolis, if I'm correct.
Well, Legopolis was
Castrovalva.
Yeah, I was going to say Legopolis was the episode before it where we kind of already covered that last week, where Tom Baker falls from the radio tower and does the. So now we're going into Castle. What is it? I almost said Castlevania.
I don't remember the plot. I'll be honest with you. I am working my way through all the old Who, but I'm on Pertwee still. I did kind of have the 5 Doctors on in the background. We'll get to that.
JPRPH1 refers to Colin Baker's coat as the coat of many colors. We're getting to that. Yeah,
basically is. You're not wrong. They should have had it. They should have. No. Let's not go there. Have a scene where he drops it. He forgets the coat and Abraham picks it up. No, I'm kidding. And gives it to David. The coat of many colors. Never mind. I'm joking.
No. I dig it. Yeah.
That might be blasphemous.
Keep in mind. No. Going back to the Tom Baker scarf. Remember, the woman that was asked to knit that scarf was given a crap ton of yarn and said, just make a scarf, whatever colors. And she thought she was supposed to use up all the yarn. That's why it was 20 friggin' feet long. There was enough.
It was 6 feet long.
Whatever. But when my scarf, so the BBC released in one of their magazines the exact stitches and how many colors and how many lines of each color. And a buddy of mine who had lived in the UK for a long time, he had all these magazines, gave me a Xerox copy of that pattern. I gave it to my mom, who, as a Christmas gift, had a friend of hers knit that exact scarf. Her friend said, this scarf has as much yarn in it as a full Afghan for a couch. And let me tell you something. That scarf has kept me warm through many a winter. Just saying.
But it became iconic, though, didn't it? So there we go.
It did, but the reason I was bringing that up is because I'm sure that very similar things came up with the Peter Davison.
Anyway, who is this mysterious old man here?
Tell me.
Could it be none other than
Colleen O'Brien? I want to say hi and welcome. And yes, Colin Baker's scarf was perfect. Check out my my stream from last week where I was actually wearing that Tom Baker scarf and a brown fedora, not the exact correct one, but a brown fedora.
Look at Adric. Look at Adric there. Poor Adric being, I guess, tortured by the Master. Yes, it's the Master again. He always shows up when least expected.
Let me
right?
just say, poor
Who's this
Adric.
weird old man that's being played by Anthony Ainley?
Poor Adric is going to be a recurring theme. I wish I could remember a quote that Tom Baker's outfit was what an alien would think a human would wear, but Colin Baker's was what a human would think an alien would wear. Oh my gosh, Colin, that's a great point. Yeah, absolutely.
So here we go. They stopped the Master. I'm gonna get to this at some point, but there we go.
Yeah.
And this is from the episode Kinda.
So wait a minute.
Or is it Kinda? I think it's Kinda.
Before you get too much farther,
we got to blast through these, dude. Go ahead.
Dude. Do I lose you after 2 hours? Are you?
No, you don't. But we have a lot to get through. Anyway,
I get you. I wanted to ask this question. So I got to back up and point out that I only watched. So we are in an era of Doctor Who with Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy that Netter and I have less experience than the previous Doctors.
What do you mean?
I think
I've only watched.
I did, but only once through.
All right, well that's fine. I guess.
And so I have forgotten more than I recall, and I don't even know Adric's. Well, and I know Adric started out in the Tom Baker era, but
E-Space.
We're talking 40 years here. He's originally from E-Space.
He's an alien humanoid. I want to say that.
I get you.
Okay, yes, he's technically from another planet, and he's not from Earth, but I still consider him a human type character. This happens in DC Comics. How you have aliens that are alien, then you have aliens that are just humans, basically on another planet. Right. Maybe his blood is green. I don't know. Okay, but yeah, he's basically another alien. Nissa's not technically another alien because she's from another planet. It's just what they do. Anyway, this was the episode. Yes.
The reason I bring this up is because I don't know much about Adric's background. And I see this star on his chest, and I'm wondering.
That was given to him by his brother. His brother died, I think, trying to defend the people of that planet. He died a hero. That was a big thing. It was,
okay,
what's he
Boomer.
saying? Okay,
he says, "Okay, Boomer."
Well, you say "Okay, Boomer." This is really "Okay, Gen X" because this is the 80s era of Doctor Who.
Let's get all super technical here, Boomer.
And this is
you're the one who called yourself Boomer. People are going to call you Boomer.
This is yeah, okay, fair point. Anyway, no, but this was basically my era. Let's be honest here. The John Nathan Turner era with the final Tom Baker starts in 1980. I would have been 3 at that time. So this is the Doctor Who of my childhood. This whole Davidson era, Colin Baker, and
I dig it.
And I really got it. I mean, I would watch these things off
People
and on.
don't realize, maybe because you call yourself Aged Boomer and you're not really a Boomer, that actually I'm older than Boomer slightly.
Anyway.
So my doctors go a little bit farther back, but that's okay.
Anyway, but I'm just trying to make a point that this is the 80s era. The John Nathan Turner era was less silliness, more stories that were more science fiction-y, or at least trying to attempt to be more based on science.
Which in a lot of ways fans did respond well to.
Had a grittier tone. I'm not going to lie. There's a grittier tone to this era of Doctor Who. Not that Doctor Who has ever been lightweight, but this era tended to have a bit of a grittier tone.
Keep in mind, Genesis of the Dalek was pretty heavy.
Yes, that's why I don't want to say the Tom Baker era was completely frivolous. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But moving on, and John Pertwee had an entire Earth die in front of him with that Inferno episode.
True.
This is Tegan. This was a problem with this era of Doctor. Yeah, this is a problem with that era of Doctor Who. They had to keep coming up with reasons for one of the companions to stay on the TARDIS because he has 3 companions, and the writers didn't have things for all 3 of them to do in an episode. So maybe Nyssa has a Gallifreyan virus that was reading a little book, or Tegan's not feeling well, or there's always has to be a reason for one companion to be absent from the expedition because it's too many companions. There's a rule. I think you should not have more than two. Otherwise, it gets messy. You don't have things for everybody to do. But
I agree.
and they kept doing the three thing throughout most of this era. Which even when they get rid of companions, they bring others on board, and it's just. All right, moving on to the famous special effect here, the snake, which is the Mara.
One thing I want to say about this,
the Buddhist religion, right?
I have mentioned that the first video or the first Doctor Who in this this series that we've been doing 2 weeks ago. I had the videos up behind me. I didn't do that for the past two. I have spanning covers for all of the I have all the DVDs, including reconstructions of
so
DVDs that don't exist. This one has been released by the BBC, and what's cool about the DVD released by the BBC is that you can watch both versions. The original version with the questionable special effects, and they do a kind of boosted version with CG, which is also you're right there with me.
There it is,
which is cool. It's good to have the option. I like having the option.
I like the fact that when they go back and they try to retool some, especially these 80s era episodes, the retooling is not elaborate. It's not like they're trying to create something that looks really out of place. This is kind of basic CG, but it's a lot better than what was done in the episode. Like with the Cybermen episode, they're making the accuracy of the firing look better. And you actually get to see the ship crash into Earth later on in the episode. It's a very simple effect. It's better than what they had. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this isn't, you're not going to mistake that this is CG. But at the same time, this is head and shoulders better than the original. I dig it. This is a great use of CG, and the fact that on one CD you have a choice. You can see the special edition or the original. I love that. I want to say hi to Adega Outlaw. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy, but man, I super appreciate seeing you tonight. Welcome. And if you are not subscribed to Adega Outlaw, please make sure you subscribe to him and check out his channel and dig in a little bit more. The guy is a published author, so check out his works as well. He is good people.
So this is the Mara, which is another newly introduced Doctor Who adversary. The Mara shows up again later, and I believe is this another thing that comes from Buddhism? I think is the Mara, this serpent-like being that is malevolent.
If Mark Melnikoff was here, which I haven't seen him say anything, he would be able to tell us, but unfortunately he's not.
But that's interesting. They did that in this episode. They defeat it by surrounding the possessed person with mirrors, and that's what drives the Mara out. And then they were able to get the poor possessed person out of there, who wasn't really evil. He was just being possessed by the Mara. And then the reflective mirrors banish it to where it came from, I guess. So it's a good little episode. It has Earth colonists, dealing with, I guess, natives on this new planet. But now we move on. I can't do every episode from season 1, but now we're doing Earthshock. Earthshock this is one of the big episodes. They said over in England this was a huge deal.
Yes,
but I did want to get, It's funny though. I forgot to mention though with that before we get to.
I got to be careful. I don't want to ruin anything for
We're spoiling it. I don't care.
Anyway,
with the Mara though, there's a wonderful thing in the DVD.
That's a huge difference. Let's be honest.
One of the writers, they said, "Oh yeah, the snake that could have gone better." That's what he said. And then, like the actress that played Tigger, she's like, I've always said, if you don't have the effects you don't have the budget for a decent special, don't do the special effect.
No,
I think everybody was embarrassed by that. This is where I have to
disagree with her, because my thought was, as bad as the special effects have been in Doctor Who previously because of low budgets, just use your imagination. The stories are good.
That didn't help with the funders at the BBC. I'll explain on that
No,
later.
I get that.
The
That
one
is
guy was
why
sick.
something like this,
Much
is
better.
kind of worthwhile. It's like, this is what it could have been if we had the budget and the technology.
Back to Earthshock, though. Interesting title. Begins with I think they're geologists in a cave in the future Earth, and this one says, "My team, they disappeared, or so they were murdered, and like I guess the military's called in to investigate in this future Earth, and they're sending people in to investigate." The Doctor also has the TARDIS materialize in this cave. There's a dinosaur fossil skeleton on the wall there. And Nissa's like, "What's that?" And oh, that's a dinosaur. And he's like, "Oh, they were a magnificent species." And then like, yeah, magnificent. If I think Tegan says, yeah, they had a brain of about the size of a pea, and he said they were one of the most adaptive species on Earth. He was saying all these complimentary things, not bad for a species with the size of. He was basically complimenting the dinosaurs. And then she said, "What happened to them?" "Oh, we're not sure. We think maybe an asteroid or some object from space hit the Earth, and I don't know." I think he said, "I always meant to go back in time and find out what killed the dinosaurs." That's what he said. Right. So
That's
that's how the
actually
episode begins.
brilliant. Not only storytelling, I'm going to say foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
Because this is just basic real world knowledge, right? I mean, we know it was an asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs, blah blah blah. If things had got different, and people have done, speculative what ifs. The idea that maybe hadrosaurs or something like that would have evolved into something humanoid, more intelligent, whatever.
They did that on Voyager. They had that one dinosaur species.
Yes, they
right?
did. That's kind of what I was referring to, yeah. But which, of course, Star Trek Online, you get to interact with them, and you get to fight, raptors and T-Rexes with freaking laser beams. I kid you not. That is a thing you can do in Star Trek Online. But
Colleen O'Brien says back before before we knew of a thing called spoilers, because there was no internet yet, so or at least not for the public. And keep in mind that sometimes I think, but in the case of the Five Doctors, that episode aired over here 2 days before England. But it's not like we're going to be spoiling. Is someone going to make a long distance phone call to someone over in England?
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say about spoilers. We were talking over the past two Doctor Who retrospectives about how most of Doctor Who was kind of late for us. We were getting it on PBS well after it was shown in the UK. My buddy Otto, my high school friend, who had lived in the UK and became a huge Doctor Who fan, collected all these magazines, recorded it on Betamax and whatnot, came back to the US and got me into Doctor Who. He had seen some of these episodes before they were released here. Took me to my first sci-fi convention where I saw Blake 7 and Doctor Who, and before they were actually released on PBS. Those, I guess you could think of as spoilers in a way. But like I said, he had these magazines, these Doctor Who magazines, that I would go over to his house and read voraciously. They were kind of spoilers, but I didn't care. This was how I consumed Doctor Who at the time. And for all the people that are like so spoiler averse, look, when you love something, you consume it however you can. We don't know, Troy. It's a theory. It's a prevailing theory, but theories nonetheless. No 100% concrete evidence that meteor killed the dinosaurs. Well, I mean, it's as close as you can get, because we know about.
They're thinking about what could have caused thing on that mass.
We know about an asteroid that hit the Yucatan. We can date it.
To be fair, even the Doctor says we don't really know. I meant to go back and find out what did. Remember, he says that. I think he
which is interesting because and again, so bringing us back to the topic at hand, that's great foreshadowing, right?
Yeah. So here we go. So there are these creepy looking android things running around in the cave, and
Yeah.
there's a very interesting scene when you see the one of the military guys. He has the soldiers on the scanner as little blips, and he sees other blips in there. And then suddenly his three soldiers scream, and they go like they're getting garbled, and they go ah, and then the little dots blink off the screen. And this is before Aliens came out, because I saw something similar in Aliens when they're seeing lights go out, and they still see the three other lights. So they're when the soldiers eventually go in there and they see the doctor and Tegan and Nyssa, they're figuring, hey, these, you're the ones that killed my men. And he says, of course, then they finally see the android shooting at them, and they says, no, are they yours? And says, no, you'll find that they'll kill me as easily as much as they'll kill you. We just got here.
Colleen, that's a great point. It was stuff like this that brought it into mainstream consciousness. That's a great point.
But as Geek Flags knows, I don't think there is a prevailing thing that we know for certain. That's
there were no humans alive at the time. We have no written.
Yeah, they were. I saw that movie Dinosaur. They kept saying, "I'm the love monkey."
We do the best we can with the evidence we have, and draw inferences.
Okay. Anyway, though, so here we go. We got the two androids, and they're pretty creepy enough. And then, of course, what happens? You see the androids looking at them, and you see the doctor's face get red, and on the screen, and then you see a bunch of Cybermen looking at it. Then the cyber leader says, destroy them at once. They said when British youth saw this over in England, they went nuts, because some of them had never even gotten to see Cybermen before, because as we said, they would show a Doctor Who episode once and then they would never air it again over there.
Yep.
So they would read about it in books and magazines. They always knew about the Cybermen, but they never got to see them again. We did
talk about that previously, how even the Lost episodes had novelizations of the serial arcs. So the stories were preserved. There was a way to catch up on Doctor Who, so to speak.
Adega Outlaw says, I'm a fan of the magnetic reversal theory for the mass extinction. Interesting.
Yep, I've heard that too. Okay. I've heard that too.
Anyway, so here we go. We have the Cybermen here. The Cybermen.
No. It was absolutely an impact, and we're going to talk about exactly what killed the dinosaurs in just a moment.
Let's get through this. Look at this, though. Look at that visage there. This, in my opinion, is still.
This is another upgrade to the Cybermen from.
I think this is the best Cybermen design. I prefer a lot more than the New Who design. If you look carefully, there's like a clear plastic. You what?
I kind of agree with you.
Okay. Yeah. You have a clear plastic mouth there, and you can see, and like they put silver makeup over the actor's mouth, so you can sort of see that underneath all that steel and whatnot, there's something
a real human. I like that, which is that creepy kind of insinuating a certain kind of body horror. Which I am planning a video about the Batman Resurrection book that I am currently reading. That I'm going to get into the body horror of that. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, and to be fair, they kind of like these space suits over it, but I assumed underneath those suits is complete metal too, complete metal limbs. I think we're even shown that in later episodes too, like what's underneath that. The more flimsy material around them. I think they're just fully metal. I assume that's for moving about in space or something. But
sure.
Anyway, it's just neat. In fact, they say in this episode when they're trying to stop the Cybermen from boarding this cruiser, they're like,
"No, it absolutely."
They say we could pump all the air. We could pump all the air out of there, and he's like, "That wouldn't work. Cybermen don't breathe." That's what he said.
No, I can guarantee you, Colleen, it absolutely was plastic. People have done cosplays using Warbler and foam and stuff, but yeah, it was plastic back then, no doubt about it.
So this is a space freighter that's coming to Earth. They go there in the TARDIS to find out what's going on. I think the Earth soldiers come with them.
Yep.
Because they're trying to find out what this is all about, and it turns out that it's basically like a space trucker, right? This lady right here, and she has a crew, and they're transporting stuff to Earth. I don't know what they say it is.
Why does she look like Swoozy Kurtz to me?
I don't know. They thought that was odd casting because she's usually I guess she was usually an actress in stuff like Upstairs, Downstairs, or stuff like that.
Yes,
She's the captain of the ship, and there's like 15,000 canisters aboard the ship. And she's like, how many 15,000? They're like, wait, no, that's not possible. They realize there are 15,000 Cybermen being stored on this ship headed directly toward Earth. Do you understand?
Yeah, no. I get it. Yeah,
why are the Cybermen wanting to come to Earth? There's a conference happening on Earth between the humans and other alien species about mounting a counteroffensive against the Cybermen. And basically, even the cyber leader has to concede that those overwhelming numbers might be too numerous even for us. So we have to basically disrupt this conference. What better way to do this than sending a huge bomb to Earth to really mess it up, and then the remaining 15,000 Cybermen will kill off anyone that survives. They're planning to wipe out the Earth basically to stop this, stop from losing this war. There's a wonderful siege part where, the Cybermen are trying to get up to the bridge. I'm trying to remember what happens here. I think the Cyberman gets through the door, and then the Doctor does some timey, some sciencey stuff, and materializes a wall right around the Cyberman, so he's stuck right in the wall. Like, he's now fused with the wall now. That was interesting. I don't even know what him and Adric do. It was some weird science thing they did. But it's not enough. The Cybermen get on board the bridge. Here's the cyber leader. He says, "We meet again, Doctor," because they know who he is. They recognize the TARDIS. They were going through this whole spiel at the beginning. One of the other Cybermen asks the leader, but he's a Time Lord. They're forbidden to interfere. And then the cyber leader says, this one calls himself the Doctor and does nothing but interfere, and so nothing else but interfere. So he he tells the plans. He, Peter Davidson saying how, you Cybermen, you don't have emotions. You can't even enjoy a finely prepared meal or something. And, he's saying all these things that what humans have over him. And then he looks at Tegan and he says, do you have affection for this woman? And Peter, the Doctor says she's a friend. And then he's like, good, kill her. And he's like, no. And he says, no. And he says, see? I am now at the advantage because of your emotions. That's what he says. Really, there's a siege. There's lots of Cybermen shooting, humans getting killed, Cybermen getting shot. Look at that face, huh? I heard the actors could not see out of those sockets.
No, it's almost certainly true. Yeah, the costumes were not comfortable. They weren't. They were made for looks, for getting the scene,
Colleen, I hope those are made out of plastic instead of metal. I think they were, but keep in mind.
No. I will even tell you, just looking at this costume, I can tell you that helmet probably vacuum formed, almost certainly. If I was to do a cosplay of that, that's how I would do it. Yeah.
Look at Geek Flag sent you a super chat.
I hope you don't mind, Troy, but I would like to buy the lady a drink. So, Netter, well, are you specifying the drink, or is it up to her what she drinks? You need to let us know.
It's a Harvey Wallback.
No, and I certainly don't mind at all. Okay. No, that's perfectly fair. If you were to have an adult beverage right now, Netter, what would you choose?
If it's a shot, Jaeger.
Anyway,
so a Jaeger shot. I think Netter needs a Jaeger shot. I just dropped a support goal. I am almost at the end of my drink, and I'm thinking if you guys want to buy me another drink. I don't actually remember what the what the goal was I set.
I just see 1 of 10. Oh, okay, wait. I want to finish my drink. I'll be broken. Buy me another drink. So I guess if you get 10 super chats or super stickers within
an hour,
at 57 minutes 18 seconds.
Yeah, and technically that one from Geek Flag applies too. But at the same time, he has requested one for Netter. So, Netter, I think you need to have yourself a Jaeger shot now.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to steal your shot glass, though.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay,
anyway,
well, that's fine.
Geek Flag says it's
Boomer,
always
you need to. this is what the stream is all about. Sometimes it's always ladies' choice. Okay, well that's fair. That's fair. Thank you.
Can I get back to what I was trying to say?
Yes.
So apparently the Cybermen talked in this really cool metallic thing, but those voice box were built into the costumes. That was their actual voice.
Yes, they were. That was, and I've seen people at conventions who actually have those built into their costumes with a speaker in the chest and everything. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Anyway, though, but they didn't always have the wires taped, so when they put them on, one of the actors got part of his face sliced a little bit. So they taped them up after that. I think he was okay, but it was absurd. Maybe got some stitches. I don't know. Anyway, so here we are, moving on.
Okay, Netter's gonna have her shot right now. You can sip it. I mean, you're not.
It's a shot. You're supposed to chug the shot.
That's true. Oof. It's been a long time since you had a shot of Jaeger.
Anyway.
Yummy.
Look, I just got to say, Netter is the one who introduced me to alcohol.
Okay. So we have an army of...
Boomer?
Yes,
we have an army of Cybermen on the ship. They're going to blow up the Earth and then kill everybody left. And Doctor has to stop them. Adric figures he can stop the ship they're sending, the bomb ship, from crashing by using his mathematical skills. The Doctor is stuck on the TARDIS. By the way, this is a Cyberman in the TARDIS. I often thought it would have been funny if during New Who, one of these 80s era Cybermen walked out from the depths of the TARDIS because he got lost in there for the last few decades. That might have been kind of funny, but they didn't do that. Anyway, but yeah, there's some danger here. Peter Davidson uses the star Adric gave him to plug up the exhaust on the Cyberman's chest because Adric's star was gold. Adric was trying to sneak it to him.
Yeah, that's probably something you should mention, that gold is like kryptonite to the Cybermen.
It plugs up their exhaust system. It suffocates them. I guess they still have to.
That by accident?
That I don't remember.
No, it was known by from Revenge of the Cybermen. It was introduced there.
Oh, okay.
But this is Tegan, Nyssa, and the Doctor watch as Adric. He almost gets to the point where he's able to.
The fact is, Nate, let's be honest. Wonderful married couple. If I wanted to get lucky, I could absolutely get lucky. There's no doubt about it. She's a champ. Okay. Yes, she is. You're absolutely right.
Okay. So, the...
I don't speak any German. Well, except for kindergarten. Get very, very basic German.
So I think
what I learned from World War II movies.
So I think the Doctor was also trying to stop the ship from hitting Earth, but I think it just ends up going forward back in time, and the Cybermen, the Cyber leader's like, we'll still win. It'll just kill off humans in the past rather than the present, okay? But Adric's trying to reverse the code. He almost hacks it and gets the code, and then like a dying Cyberman shoots off a thing at the computer console, and then he can't, and then the other Cyberman dies. Adric's stuck on the ship. He can't, and then Adric's laments, I'll never know if I was right. Ship crashes into Earth. The Doctor manages to kill the Cyber Leader. This is the Dr. Tegan and Nyssa looking on his horror as Adric crashes and dies on Earth. Turns out the ship crashes in the dinosaur era, and now we know what killed the dinosaurs. Okay,
yeah, he was his ship was literally the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. Yeah,
and this is fascinating. In the very next, and then it just kind of goes silent. They're crying, and then it goes silent, and there's not even any music in the credits. A companion has died. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to spoil something, but the silent credits are powerful.
Yep, I think it's just played over that image too. Powerful of his crushed metal that his brother gave him.
Yeah.
So In the beginning of the next episode, this is very interesting. Nyssa and Tegan are pleading with the Doctor. You have a time machine. You can save Adric. Save Adric. They're pleading with him to do this. And the Doctor has a very interesting response to this. I have it right here.
Don't ever ask me to do anything like that again. You must accept that Adric is dead. His life wasn't wasted. He died trying to save others, just like his brother Varsh.
Yes. And it brings up the first time where there are certain things even the Doctor can't do. He's not going to interfere with something like that. He's upset that Adric died, but he can't do that. Because I guess in some ways that'd be playing God or going against the forces of the universe or something. And that's sort of played upon later in New Who with the certain fixed points that you're not supposed to tamper with. But yeah, I was 18.
Real quick pause. I want to ask Colleen, where are you from originally? That you had visited Germany and so forth. I'm just curious. Go ahead, Boomer.
Okay, but then next episode's Time Flight. It's another master episode, and that's how the season ends.
Folks, I'm broken. I'm broken. Anyone want to buy me a drink? Keep me going.
Maybe a soft drink. Anyway,
in other words, if you want to see,
you notice that it's the designated driver trying to talk me out of another alcoholic beverage.
In other words, if you want to see Troy get probably sloppy drunk, buy him another drink, and you can laugh at him. Too.
I'm pretty close right now, but yeah, if you're interested.
Okay, you didn't have that much alcohol in that cup. I saw how much was in there before you added the soda to compliment
She knows me too well.
All right. We're going to kind of speed through these, okay? So this is the return of Oma.
Nate just gifted a membership to Brandon G. So you have another member to add to your list.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nate.
Well, it's too late for me to add it right now, but I will. Just because I'm too fuzzy to do that now, I'll do that later.
There you go. She has her explanation where she's from.
Okay, let's see. Oh, God, I love this stuff. I'm so glad you're here, Colleen. I am from Pennsylvania. Oh, why did it go away?
Because I was trying to bring it up while you were.
I'm from Pennsylvania suburbs. My grandmother was from Pennsylvania. She always referred to herself as the little old lady from Pasadena. I studied German in high school and did an exchange program between high school and college. I don't drink anymore, though. Good memories. Yeah, Netter doesn't drink that much, so she's a cheap date in that regard. But when she's a little bit older than I am, and on my 21st birthday, she took me to Benihana here in Chicago, and bought me a Japanese Boilermaker, which was sake and what was the beer the Japanese beer, Netter?
Sapporo
and sake, and I was friggin' ripped. That was the first time I had it was my 21st birthday.
Boilermaker.
Yeah, it was a Japanese Boilermaker. I was 21 years old that day, and I had to call my mom and say, I'm not coming home because I am too drunk to drive.
And it was the first time he stayed over at my apartment.
Nothing happened because I was...
No, he passed out.
Well, you might have been watching Peter Davidson. Somewhere. You might have been watching Peter Davidson Doctor Who, and you forgot about it.
You smart ass. That's the designated driver bringing us back to the topic at hand.
I'm going to try to just skip through these. Okay, we have the return of Omega. He comes back, decides to take on the
That's
Doctor's
Omega on the right. Whoops.
Yeah,
well,
Omega.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what was on the left. That was probably something from the Dark Crystal. Anyway, moving on. That's all we're spending on this because we got too much to get through tonight. Okay, we have the Maras again. I actually think Tegan's dressed rather sharply there. Nyssa, I don't know. I like
looking pretty hot there.
I like the top. I don't know about the skirt with that top Nyssa's wearing, but I'm picking on. It's Europe in the 80s. I don't know what was going on then. Okay.
Fair enough.
So yeah, weird creeper guy who's worshiping, doing something with the Mara, and let's see. We have this time they don't try using the snake puppet. They just have this weird snake thing over Tegan's face because I think she gets possessed by the Mara. Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Modern Undead. This was a creeper.
Undead.
I remember this.
This
episode.
one I first saw at a convention. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a return of an old friend in this episode, the Brigadier, who is now
the Brigadier.
a school teacher. He's a school
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's doing in his retirement. He took up teaching. Because he probably couldn't just stay in golf all the time. He probably wants to do something with his life so he'll teach instead. And one of his students is a student named Turlo, who is not actually human either. He's of an alien species where I forgot why he's on the Earth. Apparently, this alien species has different. They look just like humans, so they have kind of spies on the Earth. But he gets offered a deal of none other than the Black Guardian.
The Black Guardian, right.
This is sort of like the Judas contract of Doctor Who. This companion is
that's a great analogy.
To kill the Doctor. That's what he is. But I think by the end of this 3-part, because there's 3 serials where he's trying to kill the Doctor, I think Turlo gets redeemed and they stop the Black Guardian, and the Doctor still keeps Turlo around because I guess Turlo does the right thing in the end. This is the King's Demon.
Let me just say, I think that android is kind of spot on. That looks pretty cool.
If you get the King's Demons DVD, I think you have it. There's a thing on there called The Chameleon Chronicles. The producer, John Nathan Turner, went to some convention where someone was showing off this lifelike robot, and he says, "I'm buying it. We're putting it on Doctor Who." And
I love it.
He bought it, and then they realized this thing wasn't as animated as they thought it was going to be. But here's what I don't get, and this is why they never put Chameleon in hardly any episodes. He shows up here, and I think he shows up like one other time.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be the 4th companion. And I'm like, his name is Chameleon. He can look like any human being. Why didn't they just have him take on a persona?
I know, and they could have had any actor at any
actor play him. Even the actor voicing him could have been the one persona he takes on.
Exactly.
Oh, the android looks exactly like does the Doctor Who Lost in Time game. It might be the same android. This is from a particular race of aliens created this android. I think he got this when he was stuck in the void in Castrovalva. But I think he's working for the Master, but the Doctor takes him back and he says, he was just doing what he was told. I mean, he's not evil. We'll keep him around the TARDIS. There he is, see? Kind of an 80s looking android. See, in the 80s, we thought we had finally arrived at the future, folks.
Yeah, that is what from the whole Mr. Roboto, video and whatnot. That's what we thought, robots were going to look like. And welcome, Darth Plato. Good to see you.
That came so close to being one of my 80s video picks last time we did that. It's on the back burner. We got to do Mr. Roboto. In my high school yearbook, my senior year, they wanted a quote. I quoted Tom Baker's last time in his last.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
All right. So that's Chameleon.
Welcome, Dark Woods Presents. Good to see you. So now we get to the 5 Doctors.
Time for the big one. This is the big Peter Davidson era story.
Yeah.
You had to have been hyped for this, even though, because you're like, this is a reunion special.
Dude, you don't even realize we knew about this in the U.S. long before we had access to it. So we were like, how the hell can we watch this?
This was a huge
deal. It took a while before it was released on PBS. This was, again, long before the internet. We didn't have any way of snagging this online or anything like that.
I have to interrupt. Darth Plato's in the chat saying Earthshock was great. I have to repeat our Earthshock segment again. Because he missed. I'm kidding. We spent a lot of time on Earthshock.
You might have to back up a little bit, Darth Plato.
I'm joking.
But yeah, exactly.
Anyway, though, but this is the 5 Doctors. This was a huge deal. I was doing some research.
Just a reminder, folks. I'm completely broken. If I have a goal set. If you guys want to buy me a drink, Tom Baker was inserted into the event from footage from the unaired episode that was Shada.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. It was.
Let's get into
completely
the bad first, and I don't think it's bad because I think the episode succeeds despite this. Tom Baker didn't want to come back for the special. WTF, man? Come on! I know it's only been 2 years since you did the show, but come on,
he had his issues with the show and whatnot.
What? He probably didn't like the last season. He probably got angry about the last season. I'm sure that's what happened. But I don't care. I think it would have been awesome if he was here. I think they still found a great workaround, and I think the episode succeeds despite him not being there. I don't know who they would have picked out as his companion. Leela? Maybe it would have been him and Leela. But
Possibly,
just because they're not going to do Sarah Jane because she shows up in this anyway. I have never seen the 5 Doctors Geek flag.
Oh, Nate, it's worth it. Check it out.
It's one of the best episodes of Doctor Who
yeah.
ever. It's just good. It's just good. They actually put some.
So they recast the first Doctor, but you have literally all 5 Doctors.
They got a good casting replacement for him too.
Yeah, they did a good job.
He's really good. The action between Pertwee and Ainley Master was great. Yeah, it's like old times again. It's because he's like, wait a minute, I know this. Another regeneration, and Anthony, and then the Master says, not exactly.
Yeah.
The dialogue is so good. This is just an all-around great special. It turns out that they got money for this. The Australian money pumped some money into this. The Australian government, which was odd, and they didn't even have any stipulations for it. So they were actually able to make this a bit higher budgeted than the usual Doctor Who episode. And this is actually a special, even though it's a full 90 minutes. You'll notice there are no breaks in it because you just watch it straight through. There are no like chapter 1, part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah, so this is something that American audiences don't realize. In the UK at the time, they didn't have commercial breaks in the middle of shows. What they generally did, and this is why it worked so well on PBS. PBS doesn't have commercial breaks either. What they would do is they'd show the entire show, and then they'd have, whatever, commercials or whatever they were going to do in between, and then they do the next show.
This has been referred to as Doctor Who meets Dungeons and Dragons. This episode.
I had never heard that before, but you're right. There is that element to it, yeah.
Because there's basically a game. There's a game element to this episode, so...
Yeah.
There's some mysterious person who has a game board, and he's kidnapping the various doctors and some of his companions and placing them. I think it's called the Death Zone, which was an ancient thing the Time Lords had where they would watch alien species fight each other for sport and amusement. Of course, this is to the great shame of the new Time Lords. This is part of their dark history, but they don't do that anymore. But back then they did, and then now someone's reactivated the Death Zone and are taking the Doctor and his various friends and sticking them in the Death Zone. The Time Lords don't even know what to do. They actually get the Master, and they send the Master into the Death Zone because the Death Zone is like, we need someone who's cunning and ruthless.
So this
and he says,
the 5 Doctors was what anniversary? Do you recall?
20th.
The 20th anniversary,
yes.
That's right. And they brought back as many of the companions as they could, including, as Darth Plato points out, Susan Foreman. That's right.
Yes, Susan's back. Let me show everybody. And there are even cameos by other companions when they're seeing like kind of these phantoms. Like Troughton sees Zoe and Jamie, and I'm looking at Zoe and Jamie like, did the actors age at all? They must have aged well because they didn't look that different.
Which draws the impression that some of them could have been drawn from any point in their timeline. Some of them might have been older, some of them maybe not,
And then there was, I think Liz Saw shows up again as one of the Phantoms.
That's right.
Does one of the unit officers who I think got into trouble during the Pertwee era, during the Green Death. But he shows up too. But those are Phantoms.
Yeah.
But there's Susan. It's right. And before this episode starts, they show that scene with William Hartnell says, "Someday I will come back."
Yeah,
that was his final words to Susan. And now it's kind of fulfilled in this episode, isn't it?
This is all we have because I don't think we're ever going to get a return of Susan Foreman otherwise.
No, and I think this was cool.
I have felt this was a great missed opportunity in the New Who era to revisit Susan Foreman. I would have loved to have found out that she had a regeneration, and the Doctor has a chance to reunite with her.
Yeah, Mike Yates and Liz Shaw, but it wasn't actually them. But it was the actors. I give them points. The actors came back just for a little stunt in the episode, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
Tom Baker didn't get along with the showrunner, John Nathan Turner. That's why he didn't return for the 5 Doctors. That's fine. Right. That happens. I heard that's why Eccleston didn't return, but I might have heard maybe that was a rumor or not true. I don't know about him and Russell T Davies. But and of course we have Patrick Troughton gets paired with the Brigadier.
Right. That makes sense.
And which is rather cool.
Yeah.
And then we have, and of course, the Brigadier's like, oh, I was hoping for an old friend to show up at my, I guess he was giving a unit speech because he was retired at that point, but he came back because I guess he gives
Colleen makes a great point. They keep teasing it new. Yeah, he talks about being a father and a grandfather, and whatnot. But he also points out that he doesn't know what's happened to his family. He assumes they're dead.
And then, who else do we have in this episode? And we have Sarah Jane Smith is back and paired with John Pertwee.
Right. Yeah,
she knows John Pertwee, Doctor. Yeah, so that's
sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, but it's you, but it's not the other you. The one he says all teeth and curls. No, that hasn't happened yet. You know.
Yeah.
And then I think they did the scene with. Do I have the Tom Baker thing in here? No, I don't, because I didn't care. Okay,
are they driving Bessie there?
They are. He got transported with Bessie, and the Master shows up. I understand what they were saying about how the Master shows up. The High Council sent me, and he says, "I don't believe you. Here's the seal, forged. I'll see for yourself. Stolen. Then I'll return at the first opportunity." And then and then they start getting shot at, and he figures this is all the Master. The John Pertwee Doctor think this is all the Master, even though it isn't. And then when he talks to Peter Davidson later, he says, oh, the High Council sent you, so they would have given you their seal. And he says, one of your other selves took it from me. Do you expect me to believe that? And it's like, he can't win because he's actually telling them the truth. But they don't trust him because he's the Master.
Right. If Delgado was still alive, he would have been it. Yeah, no, you're absolutely. Oh, this would have been if Delgado had been alive. What would have been great is to have different versions of the Master in
Master
it as well.
Show up, yeah. But let's see here though. Susan and the First Doctor fight a Dalek, and they ended up sending it into like a mirrored area where it starts shooting. Where he gets basically he shoots himself and blows up, and then you see the Khaled inside all messed up.
Right.
It was a neat little Dalek scene. There's only one Dalek in this field, but there are other horrible creatures inside this death zone.
Yeah.
Including my favorites again, which are the Cybermen. They show up again. Yep. The Master ends up having to I'm your friend. I'll help you get to the tower. You know, he ends up causing them to get destroyed.
Right.
The Cybermen. If you like seeing Cybermen get killed in horrible ways, and this is the episode for you. That is the. Oh, I forgot what this was called. I had it in my head before the stream start. This is a particular warrior android. Someone in the chat, you have to let me know.
I was just going to say, the way he's holding his hand, I'd almost assume it was an Auton.
It's funny. They were originally going to use Autons in this scene, but they decided not to. But I think that's okay, because what I liked about the fact is even in this episode, we're seeing creatures we haven't seen on Doctor Who before.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
I think it's a Rastan warrior robot. I think that's what it was called. Yes.
Rastan actually, Darth Plato. Yeah, confirmed. Yeah,
Rastan warrior. And John Pertwee says it's the most dangerous machine ever made. And I'm thinking, how dangerous can it be? We've run into Daleks and Cybermen.
Right.
So him and Sarah Jane can't get to this cave, and the thing is just toying with them. Then a bunch of Cybermen show up, right?
Right. Well, in fairness, you could say that Cybermen and Daleks are not truly machines. They're like...
I know, but I'm just saying we've run into other horrible creatures on this show.
Right.
Look at what it's doing to one of the Cybermen.
Just blasts his head off.
It's just lancing its head off. It is just throwing. It's very fast. It's so fast it can like move at the speed of light. It's like throwing things at the Cyberman. Once Cyberman gets so messed up, he turns over and pukes. It looks like he's puking his guts out or something's coming out of his mouth. They get so messed up, they don't stand a prayer. And it's during this time that Sarah Jane and the Doctor sneak through. I don't know if you remember this scene, Netter, at all, but it's a lot of fun, even if you just want to watch this scene.
Yeah, that was a fun scene.
You know what it reminds me of almost, and I don't know why I'm thinking this, it reminds me of the rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail a little bit, you know? But looked like the scene where okay, Darth Plato, you and I are in the same wavelength tonight. Okay, yes. Did I go dead?
No.
Nope, you're
Okay.
You're
Okay.
We're listening.
All right. But yeah, he makes a point. That's what it reminds you of. But it's a wonderful scene to watch, just completely messed up. But I don't want to spoil this episode for Geek Flag. I want you to go into this unencumbered. Let's just say I'm not going to reveal who the culprit
the problem
is.
how are people currently watching Doctor Who?
You can watch it on Tubi for free.
Is it on Tubi?
Yes.
Not all of the episodes.
No, you're thinking of England. England is where they have the whole weird thing with certain episodes. I think they're still available over here. I can double check on that. But you can also watch it on BritBox if you're a subscriber, or like you said, you can get the Blu-ray sets or the DVD sets too. But there are ways to watch it.
I would highly encourage, if you are a Doctor Who fan at all, go ahead and start doing your own physical media collection. It's worth it.
I mean, I had this on the TV earlier when I was doing other stuff. I had the 5 Doctors playing. Still holds up. It's almost like a little movie. It's really good. I don't want to spoil the ending for you because a Geek Flag, you really need to check this out. Even if you don't like the Davidson era, you'll love this this episode. You're about 5 by 5. Is that good?
Yeah,
I hope so.
Do you have slides of dimensions in time, by the way?
No.
Oh, okay.
We can do that next time if you'd like, because doesn't it happen after the 7th Doctor? I can have it before
You're
the
right. You're right. It happens during.
I'll do something for it. That was the EastEnders Doctor Who crossover. Everybody was begging the BBC
it was. For. Oh gosh, that was a thing. That was a thing that happened. Yes.
That's like doing a Dynasty Star Trek crossover. I don't
understand.
Okay.
You're not wrong with that. You're absolutely right.
Okay, the 5 Doctors was 4 by 5. Yeah, well, I think they did their best to explain why Baker wasn't there, and they used the footage no one had seen before. So when you see it at the time, you're disappointed, but at least, he's there. He's not in the full episode. Okay. It was still a well done special. Now we're into the next season. These are the Tractators. In my opinion, one of the most terrifying Doctor Who monsters ever. I think they were on this Earth colony planet.
Well,
and they were trying
maybe before the Slitheen, right?
The Slitheen. We'll get to the Slitheen.
They kind of look like the Slitheen, don't they?
They look like caterpillars. But here's the thing with the Tractators. Turlo goes nuts when he sees them because I think he has an ancestral memory from his people because he's an alien where they encountered the Tractators and they might have destroyed his whole world. I don't know.
That's interesting.
They're really nasty aliens. When they find out, when the head leader finds out the Doctor's TARDIS, he says, "I want it." You know, like
of course.
They're a very dangerous alien race. They had intended to bring them back in the Colin Baker era, but that was the season that never got shot. So, which I believe is now a Big Finish audio production episode. So, yeah, so they lived on there. We'll get to Colin Baker in a bit. Resurrection of the Daleks, I think this was called.
Return of Davros.
Davros again. He's back. It's okay. The Daleks are dying because of the Movellan virus. And Davros goes, so like an errant child, they've come back to their creator.
Yeah. Right. They kind of rejected him. They said, you're not a Dalek. And it's like, oh, really? I am your creator.
I don't think this is a great episode. When I was rewatching it years back, I'm like, I don't remember. This is not that good. I do like the ending, though, that Davros also gets infected by the Movellan virus that the Movellans created to destroy the Daleks, and stuff starts spurting out of his control. And he's like, "What is this? I am not a Dalek! I am not a Dalek!" And it gets him, you know.
But remember, a virus is going to target the biological element, which is the Khaled within.
Yes. Anyway, I don't know. Some people may vary. The last episode with Tegan, there's so much death in this episode, and I think it was taking
Right.
place in modern London, that Tegan just says, "I'm out. I can't do this anymore." And I think he says Braveheart, Tegan, and then he turns around and leaves her there, and then she almost turns around like she was going to go back, but then his TARDIS is already gone.
Yeah.
So kind of a bittersweet end to her tenure, because I think she almost changed her mind, but she didn't like all the death. So moving on to, I think this was Planet of Fire, another master-centered episode, introduction of Peregrine, also known as Perry, who is our first American companion. And her American accent changes depending on the episode.
Yes, it does. She when she was on point, but yeah, it came and went.
Keep in mind that, especially in Europe, I think American accents can be tricky. I know that a lot of English actors, they love doing Southern accents because they can affect those better. So they probably should have had her have a Southern accent.
And I do need to say that Perry was probably the first time where they start to, how can I PG this? Kind of play up the feminine attributes of a companion.
I would argue Leela also, but
okay, no. You
lesser
make a great
degree,
point
maybe,
there, but it becomes a trend with Perry.
Well, it became a trend so much that the critics or the BBC censors has knocked it off. So I think when she comes back for a later season, they've toned that down a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't JNT use her accent even when they weren't filming to keep up with the illusion? Look, in her, I'm not picking on Nicole Bryant, I think is the actress's name. She was really good. Turlo goes home with his people, which is fine. I think that's a good ending for him.
So I do have to say one thing about Nicole Bryant. Well, two things, really. First, again, meeting her in person, she was so sweet. She really was. But also, she did some great marketing work for Doctor Who. She had some publicity stills that were just.
Really?
Let me just say that the teenage boys really liked her.
That airs Maxim magazine, I take it, that sort of thing. Okay.
Well, the British version thereof, yeah.
All right. So, this episode, the Master dies in a horrible flame thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, the Master died. Just so you know, he's finally gone. Okay. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I think he's gonna stay gone.
There's a close up of Perry. There we go.
What is she holding there? No, don't answer that. Maybe I don't want to know.
I don't know if I hadn't quite hit puberty yet when I saw her, so I found her kind of annoying. I'm like,
I was well into my high school years when I was first exposed to Perry.
And I don't know. I found her kind of annoying, but she grows on me later on. But I'm just gonna say, let's get to the final episode.
Oh yeah.
This is the Doctor really going, I don't want to say to hell and back, but this is, what's the name of this episode? This is the
one of
Caves
those
of
vibrating
Endless Money.
barbells. Yes, exactly, Darth Plato.
No, it's some kind of thing the Master was using. It was alien metal. She thought it could be made out of platinum because I think she was on vacation in Spain and didn't have any money and was hoping she
You're
could
not helping, Boomer. This all plays into it.
Anyway. This is the Caves of Androzani. This is the final Peter Davidson episode.
Yes, it was.
The Doctor makes a point in this episode, my curiosity sometimes gets the better of me. Yeah, this is an episode where he decides, let's go explore this alien planet, and this was a horrible, horrible idea. People have criticized, I heard modern Who fans are watching this, said, what's the point of this episode? Except for the Doctor and Perry, all the characters are either evil or insane. You know? So in the far future,
the Doctor himself isn't insane, but okay.
He might be when we're going to get to that with the next episode. But they go on this planet and they end up in this webbing, this sticky webbing, right? And they get out of it, right? And
they meet a Mexican wrestler?
Okay.
Sorry.
No, this is a gifted scientist who, okay, so here's what's going on this planet. the human race has discovered a drug.
Okay.
This drug, or when processed properly, it reverses the aging process in humans.
I can see
Not
that
all at
being
once,
addictive.
but you'll start taking it, and you actually over time start growing younger and getting younger and younger. So you can imagine that this drug is highly sought after
I would
in the
imagine,
universe.
yes.
He's the scientist that creates these robots, these androids, to go down and mine the substance, and he gets betrayed by his business partner, and he ends up getting horribly scarred and puts on this mask. It's a very Phantom of the Opera type story. Do you understand? He's all messed up. He was a genius. He was handsome. He was like a high society man, and now he's stuck underground with these androids he builds. And the cool thing is he builds androids that look like the regular miners on the surface to infiltrate. So there's basically a civil war going on this planet between this guy and his androids,
Right.
and his old business partner, who's the real villain of the story. And but even the rest of the human race at this point, it's like it's almost like this age defying drug that would reverse the age. This is bad for the human race because it's turning us into monsters, basically trying to get this drug. And anyway, but when they first went into the caves, though, the Doctor and Perry ended up getting caught in this nest of, I think, the creature that produces the serum that does something or whatever, and they end up getting poisoned. And one of the humans laughs at him and says, well, what's the cure? And he said, there is no cure. You'll be dead in 24 hours.
Oh my gosh,
and of course, the Doctor doesn't know what to do. Then he finds out that there was a professor that realized that the bat serum, like the giant bat creatures that hibernate, if you can get the bat's milk, that can reverse the toxin and cure you.
Right.
And the Doctor is going all out trying to get this. He he only gets enough bat's milk for Perry. And gives it to her. Let me show you a scene. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me show you a scene toward the end of the episode, and everything's blowing up. I think the whole facility comes down. Everyone dies.
This was an intense episode. Yeah.
And he does just enough bat's milk for Perry or himself. He gives it to Perry because he actually feels guilt over this. He says, "I got her into this mess. This was my fault." And he's lying on the ground and he's saying, I might regenerate. I don't know. It feels different this time. And this, in my opinion, is the greatest regeneration.
And this is what's crucial about this is, as he's going through this, he's already given the vial to Perry. She wakes up from, whatever. She's pretty much cured. She wants to help the Doctor, and she's like, "Where is the bat's milk?" He goes, "It's already spent. I gave it to you." And she's like, No, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Well, I may regenerate, maybe, but
he's not sure.
Different this time. Yeah.
When he lies down, suddenly, and it's funny, on one of the special editions of this episode, they get rid of this whole sequence, and I don't know why. I think it's great. I know it's 80s video effects, but it works. So you have all of his companions come up, like Tegan says, "What's that you always told me, Doctor? Braveheart?" And then this is like, "You mustn't die, Doctor." And then Turlo says, "Yes, you mustn't die. Too many of your enemies."
And then the Master is in his memory saying, "Yes, die, Doctor, die."
Yeah, and it's real creepy because Adric shows up, and then he's like, "Adric?" And then suddenly the Master shows up, and he's like, "No, my dear Doctor, you must die. Die, Doctor." And he starts laughing maniacally, drowning out all of his companions' voices.
Right.
And then suddenly you hear muffled underneath, and I don't quite know what they're saying, but this is what I think they're saying underneath as he's laughing. I'm almost hearing, "Die, Doctor Who. Die, Doctor Who. Die, Doctor Who." Like you almost hear it muffled underneath. And it's like this intense scene as the Master's
in a way. I almost feel like that's the powers that be at the BBC saying that, to be honest with you.
Maybe. And then he finally comes out of it, and we get Colin Baker.
Very
and this is
interesting.
Where the season should have ended.
Yeah. And usually the commonality is that a season usually ends with a regeneration. I mean, excuse me, let me rephrase that. When you have a regeneration, it's usually at the end of a season. That didn't happen here.
Yes.
They finished the season with Colin Baker, not giving people, the hiatus period to get used to the fact that, well, next time we come back, in 6 months to a year, it'll be a brand new Doctor.
Very
I
next
will say,
week, you get the first Colin Baker
yeah,
episode.
and I will say one thing that I thought was pretty cool about this. Colin Baker, materializes in, still wearing the cricket outfit, covered in the gore and whatnot.
Yeah, that
And
outfit
I
got
love
messed up.
the one thing I love is he breaks the fourth wall in his last line in the episode.
She says,
"Not a moment
what's
too soon," he
happening?
says.
Yeah, he says, what's happening? And he says, change, my dear. And it seems not a moment too soon. Looks directly at the camera, and then it
Yep.
ends with Colin Baker's visage instead of Peter Davidson's.
Yeah.
Would have been a great way to end the season, but they decided, let's do another episode where it's the first episode of Colin Baker. I think they should have given one more episode of Peter Davidson to round out the season. Maybe one with him, just him and Perry, another one with him, just him and Perry. But no, we get the twin dilemma, which... and then we get
this is where Netter and I had not even met yet. Separately, watching Doctor Who, we both said, we're done, we're out. This is
people
where
in England were angry about
Doctor
this.
Who, yeah.
I think here's the problem. I think this is where you end the season with the Doctor, and the first thing you're seeing is them choking a companion. Now, I will defend it canon-wise in that this was a very rough regeneration, and the Doctor wasn't himself.
Yeah.
He had I don't think his regeneration had stabilized yet. I think he was mixed up in the Marvels. I think that he came very close just to plain old dying with Peter Davidson that last episode.
Yep.
So he comes out in this, he's a little rough, but of course poor Perry, she doesn't know what's going on. She's only been with him like on one adventure, and now he's choking her because he's all suspicious, and he's like, and
this is
and the rest of the episode wasn't that good either. It was okay, but
this is a great example of retroactive canon, right? So if you stuck with it and looked back on the story, you're like, oh, I understand what they were doing. But they implemented it so poorly that a lot of people just checked out. Netter and I included.
When we get to the second season, it's a lot better. Now, they're still not getting along 100%, but it actually works because he's kind of taciturn, and I always found her a little obnoxious anyway. So they bounce off each other that way. Like she gets annoyed with him, he gets annoyed with her.
She was a little obnoxious, and she needed to be brought down a peg. But she brings out the worst in an already asshole-ish Doctor. Let's be honest.
What was funny about she's like, what about your last version? He was sweet. And he says, sweet. Oh, no, none of that now. He's like,
yeah.
Colin's outfit, he did not want that outfit. The actor went on record saying
it is absolutely friggin' ridiculous. You could forgive the previous one, which was starting to border on garish, but it's like, well, it's a cricket outfit. This is so damn loud and ridiculous. So there is another. So there are some audio dramas for the Colin Baker era that are supposed to take place later in his tenure, where the artwork on the cover is very interesting. They kind of mute the colors, kind of unify it, and instead of wearing that ridiculous plaid and multicolored coat, it's all blue. Very, very much sharper. Very much.
Yeah, he wanted a blue suit. I think that's what he wanted. Yeah. I'll say this though. I liked this era of Doctor Who, and it's weird. I do see this as a continuation of Peter Davidson era. I know some people don't like this era. That's fine. You don't have to. But I like the grittier tone, and it gets really gritty this season. This is probably another reason people tuned out. They have a Cybermen episode that's scary.
Yeah.
They actually go back to Mondas again, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka on acid.
On
yes,
acid,
Space
yeah. Kinda.
All right, let's move on to. We have a villain introduced, and I forget this actor, but I know that he's a little person, a dwarf that probably got this part, but might not get the part now. right?
Oh, right, because we're not allowed to guess. Because in the interest of inclusion, we are going to exclude all little people. Apparently,
this was still like this earthworm maggot type race alien thing, and he was wonderfully disgusting. He was eating like the slop from a thing, and like I think his boss was saying, "Must you eat your lunch in here?" I was like, "Oh, this is disgusting," and he's just terrible.
Yeah.
They merged some of the bad guys from Dalek episode. Oh, yeah, that's right. Some of the bad villains, guys from the Dalek episode, showed up in the Cyberman episode, and I think the Doctor has to kill him out of mercy because he's partially being turned into a Cyberman. So he asks him, "Just take me out. I don't want to be one of them." And it's too late to reverse the process, so the Doctor takes him out. I think that's what happens.
Oh, the Ronnie.
Kate Mara. The Master is back. He did not die after all. I think the Doctor even says, what do you mean? What? And he's like, "Oh, come on, Doctor. You know I'm indestructible." It's like, there's no way he should have survived what happened.
That's one of the marks of the Master, right? He always finds a way to come back.
But yeah, Baby Java thought that's a good way of saying it, though. Trail was really good. I don't know. Let me see. Cyber Controller killed Litton. Oh, that's right. The Cyber Controller killed Litton. You're right. I think he maybe... Okay, I remember now. It's been a while since I've seen that. But, never cared for the Ronnie.
See, this was, I think, a missed opportunity. They decided to bring the Master back as a woman, which, let's face it, Missy was incredibly good. I really did like that iteration of the Master, but they missed a great opportunity to bring back the Ronnie at that point.
Yeah. Who the heck played her now? I forget these names whenever I'm on the streams. But this was the Ronnie.
Who played the Ronnie?
She's a female Time Lord. She's a villain, but she's also let me look her up real quick. Hold on. The Ronnie. Fictional character played by... They never have the actors when I looked the thing up. Oh, Kate O'Mara. I kept wanting to say Kate Mara. It's Kate O'Mara. Okay.
Yeah.
Not the same actress. There's an O in front of the name. All right. But that's Kate O'Mara. She was in some Hammer movies, actually.
I have to look into that.
They didn't bring back the Ronnie. They had her on the show twice. Now, I think her whole thing was she was more... logical than the Master, but she's still evil. I guess
she was evil, but not insane.
Yeah, maybe lawful evil versus chaotic.
Yeah.
I might describe her. That was how she was. Like what she's doing out of scientific interest, even though it's a bad ends justify the means sort of thing. But her and the Master were working together.
No. You misunderstood, Darth Plato. I said they should have brought back the Ronnie. They did not. Instead, they brought back the Master as a female character. It's like you missed an opportunity to bring back the Ronnie.
I you know what I think? I'm sorry, but I sometimes wonder if the modern showrunners just don't like this era and don't want to revisit it. I
they don't like Doctor Who at all, and they certainly
don't like Doctor Who at all
fans.
Anymore. This was a big deal. Look who's back: Patrick Troughton, Jamie, and Colin Baker. This episode was called "The Two Doctors," where the Doctor runs into one of his former selves. You didn't know this episode existed, did you?
Oh, I did.
Okay, he runs into.
Remember,
Patrick Troughton
I have watched them all
Hines
at least
back
once.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the Centaurans were involved in this episode, and another alien race that liked to eat humans.
Yeah.
And the Centaurans,
I
of
never
course, they're trying to get time
understood
travel
why
technology back.
there was explanations in the previous returns why doctors looked older and stuff like that and whatnot. But I'm like, in this one, they should have just, sprayed his hair, temporarily darkened it and stuff. I mean, why not? But
I just accept that this is just the Doctor and the actor is a little older, and I suspend my disbelief. I still say it's the same.
Fair enough.
Fraser Hines look older too, but he doesn't look that older though. I'll say this: him and Zoe kept their appearance well into their.
Oh, Colleen, you're not wrong here. So much plaid. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know. This episode refers to the Centauran pursuing control of time. Yes, they're obsessed with time travel. I think it's why they invaded Gallifrey to begin with in that one Tom Baker episode. And I think another alien race was developing time travel technology. That's how this episode starts. And when Colin Baker shows up at the station where they were doing these time travel experiments, everyone's dead, and the computer on board says, "Who did this?" The Time Lords did this. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it was the Time Lords who did it, because maybe they didn't want another alien race developing time travel technology. But let's move. We going? Next slide. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go
Why
ahead.
is it not
Go to
moving?
the next slide.
Why don't you do it? It's doing this wait thing. Hold on. If you could click
There
next
you go.
slide.
No, back to Davros.
There it is. Okay, Davros. I actually like this Dalek episode. Rather rough. But it turns out they're in this station where people are trying to get, like, I don't know, like longevity. It's like some kind of health planet. But then it turns out that Davros is behind everything, and he's actually turning humans into Daleks to create another Dalek race that's loyal to him, to go after the Dalek race that isn't loyal to him. And I think he's growing them out of
the Dalek Civil War. Exactly.
Yeah, and he on this planet, though, he's called the Great Healer. And they said, "What do you do with the humans that can't be converted into Daleks?" And it says, "Well, there is a food crisis going on in this part of the universe, and the human body makes a great source of protein." So it's like a Soylent Green situation going on. It's like,
isn't Time in the Ronnie with Sylvester McCoy a Ronnie series? It's been a while, but I don't remember.
Yes, we're going to get there soon enough.
We're getting to that. Yeah.
Anyway, I think this episode's cool. You get to see Davros's hand get blown off with a laser gun in this. That's why when he shows up in New Who, when you see Davros again, he has a mechanical hand.
That's right.
Notice that?
That's right.
Little things. But yeah, let's get to
back when the showrunners actually tried to keep some kind of sense of canon, before they said, we don't give a crap anymore.
Okay, so that was Revelation of the Daleks, and this is the last episode of that season, and Doctor Who goes on a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
John Nathan Turner, the new head of the BBC, he don't like Doctor Who.
Apparently so.
He's saying, the effects, look, this isn't Star Wars, the effects are terrible. Like, he doesn't know why they're spending money on this show. John Nathan Turner rallies the troops. We're going to create a We Are the World style album about Doctor Who, SOS, Who Cares? The Who Cares album.
Doctor Who Cares,
some
exactly.
British pop singers and even some of the actors from the show to go ahead and sing a pop song. 18 months is too long to wait. Did you listen to that song I sent you?
Yeah.
You probably
I
listened
heard
to
it
5
before,
seconds.
actually.
I'm surprised you didn't shut it off after 5 seconds. It's not good.
It's not a great song, yeah, but
it's embarrassing.
It's no We Are the World, let's be honest.
Oh, it's not.
It's no Doctor Who is going to fix it. Did you listen to that one?
What? That one I listened to before the stream. I enjoyed that one. Is that from that era too? Or is that later?
It's from I want to say it was a couple years earlier. It was about 2 years earlier.
That was a good little song. I enjoyed it.
It's a great little. I don't know the Irish band other than for that, but there's a lot of videos of it using like David Tennant era, stills and whatnot. I sent you the one that was just animated, whatever. It's the song that's important, let's be honest.
Just lost power at my house, Geek Flag. Well, I hope you get it back. That's not good.
Oh, sorry, man. Are you having some weather or is it something else?
So this is Trial of a Time Lord. It finally comes back. They scrapped the season they were going to do. They had the whole season written, and they didn't. They didn't go with it. It was going to have the Return of the Tractators. The Celestial Toy Maker was going to come back. Those episodes never got shot. They were eventually completed as Big Finish productions, though.
That's good. But this does introduce an incredible character that I think was that should have been followed up on in the New Who era and never was. There you go.
The Valeyard.
The Valeyard.
In fact, they mentioned him on occasion, like in the Moffat era. It's like, oh,
They mentioned him very obliquely.
And
like,
I'm like, are you going to follow through on that?
Yeah,
you guys
and
never follow
that's
through on
sad
anything.
because they teased it, never did. When they referred to the Doctor, you were known by this name, that name, the Valeyard, and so forth. And
the Moffat era is one big,
and then nothing ever comes of it.
The Moffat era was one big tease. We'll get into that in a couple weeks. I have my own things to say about Moffat era.
So they imply that a particular villain that the 11th Doctor goes up against is the Valeyard, but they don't confirm that.
I'm
and
done.
We'll get to it. It's like tweaking the fans. Stick with us, Colleen. Eventually we'll get to the new Who and all of that. So yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. So here we are. This is the Valeyard.
Yes, I agree. This is where this would have been the place to do it. Valeyard would have been a good piece for the Time War. Actually, I always imagined that the Valeyard and the War Doctor should have been the same individual. We'll talk about that later too.
So here we have so here we have the Valeyard. Okay, we might as well just do the big spoiler alert. The Doctor is on trial. The Valeyard is the prosecution. The Valeyard is very nasty to the Doctor throughout this 4-part series. And of course, we learn later on at the end, big spoiler, close your ears, that the Valeyard, they believe, is a future version of the Doctor.
Yeah,
that's the big twist. Talk about dark. Part of me often thought that weird thing when Tennant splits off in two, that maybe the Valeyard was something like that, where he was like an offshoot or something. But
I think that a lot of fans kind of assumed, kind of like there's alternate futures. So this may or may not be the future.
So this may or may not still happen, right?
And the Valeyard has a vested interest in making sure that his history happens.
So I do like the bi-generation Valeyard theory. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is just my own theory, but I don't think. Anyway, so Doctor's on trial, so they have to. So basically, in the courtroom, they have to watch 3 Doctor Who serials. So one is from his past, one is from his present, because he was snatched during one of his adventures for the trial. So he didn't, and he was kind of had amnesia about it. And then there's one of his future. So it's like a Christmas Carol, past, present, and future. And so, they do a past one where, the something planet, I think, it turns out it's Earth. There's this horrible robot on there. It almost looked like the human race had gone extinct, but they were just living underground and on the surface in tribes. And it's not a bad episode. It's all right. I enjoyed it. Perry's in that episode. And you can tell by the time we get here that it's insinuated that him and Perry have been having adventures for a number of years now. They're actually getting along a lot better now than they were in the last season. They have a rapport now. And
he as a character has evolved.
He's mellowed
again,
a bit too,
I'd already, first time through, I'd already stepped out, so I never got this far. I didn't see this until, rewatch many years later.
Oh, Darth Plato does not like these episodes. It's all right. I like them, but it's okay if you don't, like I said. This is the next episode. This was the one that took place in the present. This is another episode where it turns out the Time Lords were trying to stop one of Syl's race, the weird, what do you call it? The maggot-looking guys or whatever. He was trying to get the scientists had discovered a way to transfer a consciousness into another body, and they did that with one of the race with Perry's body. The Doctor was intending to save her before that happened, but then he got called away, and the Time Lords basically interfered with the whole thing and set it up so this Warrior King shows up there, who was actually in love with Perry, and sees then that her mind got wiped, and now she's been replaced with this other alien, and then basically he destroys the entire lab and the scientists in it and kills everybody, and it's this big bloody scene, which they then retcon later on and say, well, that didn't really happen. She's married to now this Warrior King, and now she's a queen or something, which doesn't make any sense either. No. And then Colin Baker behind the scenes says, is being married to Brian Blessed a fate worse than death? That's what he said.
Right.
Was being, Brian Blessed, he was in Flash Gordon, remember?
Oh, yeah, he was.
He
He
was
was the head of the bird people. Dive. Yeah.
There's a movie, not Doctor Who, where Perry actors Colin Baker were in it, and there was a really? Are you referring to The Stranger? I know there was a spin-off show called The Stranger where they were trying to bring Doctor Who back without it being Doctor Who. I think ITV made that. I didn't realize that there was
That's interesting. That
I
is
hope not
interesting.
between the two of them. That would have been. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on.
I could totally see a fan edit,
Let's not go there. Okay.
Yeah.
Terror the Vervoids. This was the future story the Doctor does in his defense. The Doctor was furious when he finds out Perry got killed because of Time Lord interference. He basically says, "You killed Terry," and he said the High Council has no right to order Perry's or anyone else's death. And he was really furious. I think he calms down between that episode and this episode, and he's explaining, that in this episode I'll show you that my future self will actually save an entire ship from being killed and humans and save countless lives and stop this horrible thing from happening. So these are the Vervoids. He ends up doing something to kill all the Vervoids at the end of the episode, and then the Valyard says, "So you killed all the Vervoids. This was a new sentient species. The charge must now be genocide.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Because, he says, well, no, it doesn't matter. You wiped out an entire sentient race, even if they were trying to kill all the humans.
What is really cool is, think about this. They almost had to film the equivalent of an episode that never happens for the purpose of this story arc,
I don't know. Okay. Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't want no scenes between the Doctor and a companion. Let's not go there. That weirds me out.
I dig it.
Here we go, though. We have the Master finally interferes in the trial and says this is all a bunch of nonsense. The High Council is corrupt. They're doing bad stuff. And it's funny that the Master, for once, is actually coming to the Doctor's aid, which is very bizarre. And I know him and the Valyard have a final duke out in this thing called the Matrix, which I guess is the memory matrix of the computer system of the Time Lords. And him and his new companion leave from the future, Mel. And then we never see Colin Baker again because he gets fired. He basically gets fired from the show. Vervoids were
hemorrhoids for plants.
Yeah, basically. Yes. Yeah. People argue they look like a certain part of the male anatomy. But anyway, moving on. Yeah. Here we go. Sylvester McCoy.
That's right. We don't get a regeneration between Colin Baker and Sylvester
because
McCoy.
the episode, the precursor of the episode begins with there's something wrong with the TARDIS. The Doctor gets knocked down, and Mel turns over the Doctor. He's in, and it's some guy. I think it's basically Sylvester McCoy in a wig, but they made his face all shiny, so you can't see what he looks like. He's regenerating into Sylvester McCoy. I don't even know if I have time to get into all the behind the scenes stuff. It's on the Trial of the Time Lords DVD sets. There's some I felt bad for Colin Baker. He said, look, they want to cast Sylvester McCoy, and he says, look, I'll do another season. I'll do one more season, and then you can put me out to pasture. But they said, we want you to do one more episode. And then they never heard back from them, and then they just said, no, you're done. That's what they said. I think he got railroaded myself.
He really did, and like I said, again, what he had to work with, he did the best he could. The fans were kind of shafted by their treatment of him. He was shafted for sure. Like I said, Netter and I had already dropped out by the time Sylvester McCoy came along, which is a disservice to him as well.
Now, the funny thing, in subsequent years, he and Sylvester McCoy get along fine.
Yeah.
I don't think he blames Sylvester McCoy for this. I think
not at all. In fact, they've done a lot of things together.
Conventions together and stuff.
I met them both at the same convention. That's absolutely true, yeah.
Toxic work environment. Things were very bad at the BBC back then. I don't know if it's around this time. Maybe it's later, but I think ITV, the competitor of the BBC, started airing Star Trek The Next Generation in the same time slot as Doctor Who, and it was killing it in the ratings. Because I think they got the British broadcasting rights for Star Trek The Next Generation. So here we go, though. We have Sylvester McCoy, Time in the Ronnie. Yes, that's
Time
the
in the Ronnie, exactly.
We have Mel there. She was introduced in Terror of the Vervoids. Mel is considered the most hated Doctor Who companion. I think that's a little unfair to the actress.
Well, maybe she might be the most hated companion in the classic era. There have been some very
More
challenging
recent
ones since then. Mel, was she the Australian one?
No, that was
Oh,
Tegan.
that was Tegan.
Mel was famous. The actress was famous in a stage production of Peter Pan. She played Peter Pan. I remember my friend at the time, who was also in the Doctor, he commented and he says, "Does she have a 6-inch waist?" Like he didn't understand.
I don't know, but
no
from what you just said about her, I guess she got a crow.
She was supposed to be the health nut companion. She was always telling the doctor to exercise more, drink some carrot juice and blah blah. The doctor,
well, he does enough running for this doctor and his technical dream code. I dislike it a lot. To me, he is unlikable as Jodie Whittaker or Shitty Gatwa.
Are you talking about Sylvester McCoy? It's okay if you do. I hated this iteration of Doctor Who at the time. I tried liking
so
it.
Here is my
the tonal shift goes all over the place. Yeah, here.
I didn't have a problem with him when I watched him through.
I don't have a problem with the actor. I think he's good as the Doctor. I just didn't like the episode.
I love Sylvester McCoy. He's a sweetheart too. But my issue is there are things that are set up in the Sylvester McCoy era that never get to see their fruition, and then they are glommed on in the Jodie Whittaker era.
Oh no!
In a stupid, half-assed way.
Okay.
That
like
kind of
the idea that he...
Whoa! You just kind of.
Oh, I thought that was mine.
No. That was Boomer. Are you still with us, Boomer?
Yeah, don't boom on us.
Can you hear me?
All you're doing is clicking, man.
Can you hear me? Hold on.
I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you.
No, I clicked the off switch on my stupid headset. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. That'll do it every time, right?
Operation here. Anyway, you were saying though that I was making a point about him being.
Colleen, you're getting ahead of us again. But yes, I didn't care for Clara either. Well, I liked her at the beginning. Then when she became the end all be all of Doctor Who, the impossible girl, no. She's.
We'll get to it.
Clara is really where Doctor Who went.
I feel bad for Joe. I forgot the actress' name, but I think Amy Pond was hard to follow, and they were trying to make her unique, and it didn't quite work. But
you don't always have to one up. Sometimes it's okay to back off a little bit.
So this is Time on the Ronnie. The Ronnie's back. It's not a great episode. They think this was a holdover.
Jenna Coleman. That was
Claire,
right. Yeah.
Jenna Coleman. She was Queen Victoria in a well-received series.
Yes,
so
she
was.
That.
Yes.
She's a. I mean, I like her as an actress. She's very, very pretty, very, very sweet. But the Impossible Girl overstayed her welcome. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so. The Ronnie's back, and then the Ronnie's not back. I think he does something to her TARDIS. There's Mel. I have to give that actress credit. How do you pull off that hair? That is a lot of curls. That's redheaded too.
That late 80s, crazy, yeah.
I'm impressed. I thought she was pretty myself. I didn't have a problem with Mel.
Yeah, she's not unattractive. Yeah, no.
Mel has the unfortunate position of being a companion that never got a proper introduction because she was introduced as a future companion for Colin Baker, so she never gets a proper introduction. And then we get she's kind of a leftover from the Colin Baker era. She only lasts this season, and then they get rid of her. Maybe she decided to leave. So she goes, and we get Ace.
Ace, yeah.
I like Ace. Some people at the time didn't like Ace. She's not a conventional companion.
True.
I get a kind of I don't want to say punk rock vibe from her, but maybe like an alternative rock vibe from her.
Yeah.
Like late 80s, early 90s. She's got the patches on her jacket. Almost like Joe from Facts of Life. I'm going to compare her to
that's a great analogy. Yeah, absolutely. Little tomboyish. Yeah.
But I actually like that because it makes her unique. And I often said I didn't know why. I think Sophie Aldrich plays her, right? And I thought unfortunately, when Elizabeth Sladen died, that was unfortunate. In the Sarah Jane Smith adventures, they didn't even finish out that last season. But I thought if they were going to bring another companion on to take over that role in that sense on that show, I think they should have gotten Ace back. I think that could have worked.
Yeah, no, that actually would have been.
Yeah, I would have brought her back.
Yes, Mark.
To kind of fill in that
Ace
void.
was the one that went around hitting Daleks with a baseball bat. That's actually true. Yes.
Hold on, I think I have that here. There we go.
Yep, there you go. you just got a little ahead of us. That's fine.
I think that's one. Is that one of Davros's Daleks? Because he had the white Daleks with the gold trim. I like that design for the Daleks.
Yeah,
that was a neat Dalek design. Yeah. Because of course, and people argued why wasn't this the 25th anniversary episode? Because it had the Doctor going back. I think he was going back to the same year that the show started, and the Daleks were back, and there's Davros, and people thought this made more sense as the 25th anniversary episode
than the actual 25th anniversary we got. We'll get
which is Silver Nemesis.
Yeah,
which I only have this shot for it. Wait, wait. Before we get to Silver Nemesis, I have to put this in here. I pick on the Sylvester McCoy era, but this episode is a good episode. This is my favorite Sylvester McCoy episode era. This is the Happiness Patrol. Have you ever seen this episode?
Yes, I have.
You have to watch one episode of Sylvester McCoy. He ends up on this human Earth colony.
Yeah.
Something's gone terribly wrong in this colony. You have to be happy all the time.
Yeah. You
cannot feel sadness. There's a blues musician that has to practice his music in secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Doctor runs into him, and basically, if you're sad or something, well, they'll figure out ways to make you happy, or they'll just execute you.
Colleen, the villain's made of candy.
The villain is literally made of candy. No, he's a glucose-based life form, and I can't do his voice justice, but he talks like a spoiled little Lord Fauntleroy, and he makes some point that you know what he does? He says he makes sweets that are so good, the human physiology cannot bear the pleasure. And his assistant says, yes, he makes sweets that kill people. Because they're just so good, you'll die from pleasure eating them. You know, it's just that planet sounds like a blue state to me. Yeah, there might have been some political undertones in this episode, but I enjoyed it. It's a good episode. It's only 3 parts because, of course, in this era, the Doctor Who episodes go to 3 parts. Less money to spend. But it's a good one. If you watch one from the era, watch this.
Hold off. When we get to the Matt Smith era, we will talk more about Amy Pond and Rory. Got a video to share with all of you guys. It was another YouTuber did an April Fool's related to them. It's friggin' brilliant. I think I shared it on the MeWe group. Definitely worth checking out.
So let's see here. We have
new
25th
Cyberman
anniversary. That actually is a fun picture. That has a Cyberman surrounding Sylvester McCoy, and they're cutting the cake for them. That's fun.
Look at those helmets, right? They're very similar to the previous iteration, but they're very, very metallic, almost chrome.
Yeah, I don't think I like this updated look. I mean, it's similar, but I don't think it looks as good. I think part of the reason for that, though, was at this point, I think that they finally started shooting everything on video, even the outside scenes. The British were weird. They would shoot outside video on film, inside shots on video for their shows. And now they think they went straight to video for everything, so it all lines up.
Yeah.
But what's he saying?
I like the one where the Brigadier comes back. So if you're referring to the Dimensions in Time, where they brought everyone they could fricking get a hold of back.
Wait a minute. No, I think he might have come back in one of these. I don't know if that was the episode with the vampires or if that was the Curse of Fenric. I don't have the Curse of Fenric in here. I know everybody loves the Curse of Fenric, but I don't have that in here because I don't.
You notice in this picture, he's holding a He's got an umbrella, and the umbrella handle is a stylized question mark. The question mark became a trope and almost a symbol of the Doctor, like the S symbol on Superman's chest.
Yes.
And
His
it was
tie, I think, has
ridiculous.
question marks on it.
It
His
was the
ties have
whole
question marks on it.
Doctor Who question mark, and it's like, people, please.
I don't like this era. I think Sylvester McCoy is a good Doctor. I like Ace as the companion. I would have liked if they had done more episodes like the Happiness Patrol. I would have liked this series.
There was a plan if they had continued with Sylvester McCoy with another season. They were gearing up for this idea that the Doctor was not only a Time Lord, but he was more important in time travel lore. He even has a line, Sylvester McCoy does, something about, I'm more than just a Time Lord. And there was this implication that he was the third Gallifreyan, along with Rassilon and Omega, that were responsible for creating the Time Lord Society and the introduction of time travel and whatnot. And it would have been kind of an ontological paradox, because he's from the future, he goes back in time and interacts with Rassilon and Omega and so forth. He would have been the, in quotes, the third in the triumvirate that created the Time Lords.
This is something they introduced here, and they kind of carried on, especially in the Moffat era, of making the Doctor much larger than life than he's been.
Yeah.
And it's and I think it starts here with the Sylvester McCoy era. I did find it funny in one of the episodes, though, they're looking around in the TARDIS, and and there's like a fez in the background, and this was during the Matt Smith era, and some kid in the comments says, the fez is back. Because fezzes are cool, according to Matt Smith. Yes.
So this whole idea of the Doctor as the other, and being responsible for the origins of the Time Lord is what the Chin Balls era used as their explanation for the timeless children. He is responsible for the regeneration and blah 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 and this and that. It's like, screw you. They abandoned that. You can't lay claim to that. Get out of here. Welcome, Peter Venkman fan site. I grew up with McCoy as one of my doctors. That's
if you watch on the DVDs, you'll see a member of the Doctor Who fan society, a teenager. And he's talking to the producers and to authors Pippin Jane Baker, who wrote Terror of the Vervoids and some other episodes. And this little kid, this teenager, is saying, well, we just don't think the episodes have been that good and that well written. That teenager was Chris Chibnall.
Yeah.
That little snot. Yeah. And he's the one picking on Pippin Jane Baker. And this is what I want to say to Chris Chibnall. Pippin Jane Baker wrote much better episodes than you ever did. So shut up.
Yeah.
Okay. Just shut up. I'm sorry.
What I would say to Chris Chin Balls is, take your head, bend all the way over, and shove it as far up your ass as you can.
Oh, boy.
JPRPH1, we will talk about Amy and that Van Gogh episode. If you get through that Van Gogh episode and you aren't in tears, you have no heart.
All right, so let's go to...
Thank you, Colleen. Absolutely.
Here we have our final episode, where the Master returns. This is in season, the third season of Sylvester McCoy. And I remember being a kid, and I was sort of watching
the question
Doctor
marks
Who.
On the damn sweater? Yeah.
Yes. I was watching Doctor Who out of obligation at this point. I got excited because, oh, look, the Master's back, but I kind of feel this was a letdown, too. Interesting, the Master had gotten attacked by some cat people, so now he was like part cat, like with cat eyes in him.
Yes. They got weird. They got weird with him in this era, yes.
And then that's it. And then there's no more episodes. And I saw this on PBS on a Saturday night, and I don't know if this was in 1990 or 1989. It was around. I forget when this last episode when we got it here in the States, and I didn't have internet back then, and I'm
Right.
wondering, when is Doctor Who coming back?
Right.
When is Doctor Who coming back? It doesn't. It's gone.
It never does. Yeah, and they never officially canceled it. They just put it on hiatus and never announced a return. Yeah.
So this was the last. That was, by the way, the Doctor Who signature for the McCoy era.
Right.
And that's it. That's it for Doctor Who. And it was kind of the wilderness for a while, wasn't it?
It was.
Except we'll get into that thing you were talking about, the EastEnders crossover. We'll start off.
We'll
with
talk
that
about that. We'll start off with that next time, yeah, because that takes place in the interim. So
in a way, this is basically the decline and fall of Doctor Who. That's what this era is. I defend the Davidson era. I think it starts up pretty strong. There are some duds in there. I think the episode where the Silurians returned, that was a bad episode. I didn't even bring that one up in the chat and in the stream, but I don't know. Five Doctors was great. Timeless Child, yeah. I remember when Troy first shared his reactions years ago, and you were furious.
I'll tell you what. The Timeless Child made the Colin Baker era look like peak Doctor Who.
Well, here's the deal. Like, it's like I can accept bad episodes. Like, there's a lot in the McCoy era I don't like, but it doesn't fundamentally ruin Doctor Who.
Yeah, when
it's just
you
that Doctor
take
Who was on some
canon and
dumb
completely
adventures.
flush it down the toilet. See,
Yes.
it wasn't about it being a female doctor. It wasn't about, queer companions or any of that. Nobody gave a flying crap about that. We'd already had Captain Jack and everything that they did in Torchwood, and we were fine with it. You assholes, you just took Doctor Who and said, let's throw it in a blender and hit what the fuck. That happened to Doctor Who.
That was Chibnall. That was Chibnall.
Yep.
The little snot that was yelled. That was criticizing Pip and Jane
then
Baker.
When they brought back Russell T Davies, there was an assumption that he would do the same thing he did when he came back. With the new Who era, and kind of homage everything from the original thing, and maybe find a way to smooth out the canon. Nope, he just doubled down on it and said, screw it all, we're going as woke as we possibly can. We're going to transgender the F out of everybody. Well, congratulations. You killed the Doctor again.
And is that it? Yep, that's the last image of the screen. So, oh wait, I did want to bring this up. It was not the last image. Around this time, I did get a little into the Doctor Who toys. And I had this set.
I'll get to that in a second, Colleen. Yeah.
Get to what?
Her point. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
All right. Well, yeah, this is the Doctor Who play set. Came with a TARDIS console, which is the wrong shape.
Yep.
It's a pentagon instead of a, what is it? 6 sides? Is that octagon? Hexagon. Yes, hexagon. Okay. And but it actually, you put batteries into it. You'd press the button, and it would light up and go up and down. And then you had it came with Sylvester McCoy and Mel.
Yeah.
And you could buy a Tom Baker figure also. But and you could buy Daleks and Cybermen. And
check out Retro Blasting. Yes. He does a great video about his collection of Doctor Who figures, some of them being custom, including custom play sets as well. Definitely worth checking out. Going back to what Colleen said, do you guys think another hiatus or some wilderness years would do the show some good now? When we get to that point, we'll talk about that. But short answer, yes. I think that's absolutely happening. In my opening monologue, I basically said history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, because I was basically saying I see the exact same thing happening right now. Nobody wants to pick up the next season of Doctor Who. They've got a second season of Shudigatwa already in the can, but nobody wants to finance another season. So Disney isn't even returning calls to the BBC. BBC is starting to look at Amazon maybe to pick them up, and I don't think even Amazon wants to touch them. So yeah, it's going to have to go on hiatus. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, and this is just for verisimilitude and balance, as much as I did like many things about the Peter Capaldi era, as far as I'm concerned, the Doctor died at Trenzalore, and that was the end. He never got another set of regenerations, and that was the end of the Doctor, until I have reason to believe otherwise.
So this set cost me $100, and this was 1980s $100. I saved up for a long time for it. It was
so you did get this?
Yes.
Nice.
This was imported from England. This was like for the Intergalactic Trading Company, which I guess imported these from England. These weren't really sold domestically.
Yeah.
And some of the figures were like you go to the mall and get like a Cyberman or a Dalek, but these big sets you couldn't find anywhere. And
I was trying to work with Intergalactic Trading Company. I wanted to get. They were offering teleportation bracelets from Blake 7, and then somebody there said we can't get them. They were never commercially released, but here's an article from a magazine on how to make them. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool. I remember this was before the internet. You would get these catalogs in the mail, and they would sell you. That's how you would get. Like I would buy patches. I had a patch for Unit, which you could just sew on a jacket.
Right.
You know, if you wanted to pretend to be an undercover Unit person or something.
I've got a Bookhouse Boy patch.
Oh, that's interesting.
Twin Peaks fans, yeah.
But basically, though, this was the end of Doctor Who for me, and I forgot what I got into next, but this was sad. And because I got into Doctor Who because TNG annoyed me that first season. I hated Wesley Crusher.
Question for you, Boomer.
What?
$100 is a lot of money for a toy. Did you take it out of the box and play with it, or just
Of course I did. Of course I took it out of the box and played with it.
Good man.
And unfortunately, I left the batteries in the TARDIS console, and I was surprised I did that because even as a kid, I knew you don't do that. I was very careful because I know they'll get corrosive and go in there. Yeah, this thing hasn't survived. That's all I can tell you. But the neat thing is you could take the TARDIS console and take the two TARDIS pieces and kind of make a background for the TARDIS with it, or take the two TARDIS pieces and then combine them and make a regular outside TARDIS. Do you understand?
I will say this, Nate. I think that after RTD's partner died, he just checked out.
I think he snapped.
He's just he doesn't care about anything anymore. So yeah.
So here's the problem with Doctor Who. It doesn't even outrage us enough that we're not interested enough to even be outraged by it anymore. That's how far it's sunk since it's been.
Well, I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or an insult, but I am inclined to take it as a compliment. Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that.
See the little boy and girl, the little British boy and girl. You can be like them playing with your set. Absolutely. I don't know why K9 was included. He wasn't in the McCoy era.
Well, because he was good for marketing. He was a good toy.
I wanted a Sarah Jane, and I think they did make a Tom Baker figure. By that point, I wasn't really buying Doctor Who stuff anymore. I could have gotten a Tom Baker figure. They should have done a Sarah Jane and Tom Baker figure. That would have been cooler. But yeah, oh well.
Yep. There you go. That's so we've done 3 episodes, and we've kind of covered the whole
3 Doctors.
Yeah,
this is the end.
Honey. You meant to say
No. We did 3 episodes covering the
our 3 episodes. I'm sorry.
Our 3 episodes. Yeah.
We're gonna have
we
at
all
least
try
2
to
more.
give a new Doctor a chance. Change is never easy, but yeah, Whittaker era was so poorly handled.
Okay, I gave Jodie Whittaker a chance.
Yeah, I was one of the few that was saying, well, yeah, I could see the Doctor becoming a female. In fact, they were talking about the Doctor being female back in the classic era.
No. No, they made some offhand remark about somehow one Time Lord regenerated as a Time Lady. I think that was and no, I know what this agenda was all about them.
I
doing
do
it.
too,
I
and
told
it's
them not to do
unfortunate
it.
that's what it became. But what really killed it was totally destroying the canon of Doctor Who. You know,
You had River
once they
Song.
got
You didn't need a female doctor. You had
I
her in
know
River Song.
we had River Song, we had what Lala Ward, what's her character name? Romana. We had the Ronnie. Look, I was even willing to accept Missy, but they just went and destroyed the canon of Doctor Who. And it's like, okay, this is not Doctor Who anymore. When you completely destroy the canon of, what was it, 50 years of Doctor Who? Good luck with that. You don't have a new audience, and the old audience has checked out. So you're left holding an empty bag. Congratulations. And now they can't finance any further episodes.
What I was starting to say is I was giving Jodie Whittaker a chance,
Mm-hmm.
even though the storylines at the beginning they just seemed kind of forced. But I was like, okay, it's a new Doctor. They're fleshing out new episodes. I'll give her more of a chance. But then when they decided that Doctor Who was no longer a Gallifreyan and was from some other planet and the whole history didn't exist anymore, it's like, pardon the language, but fuck this, I'm out.
I will agree with you, Colleen. She said I wanted it to be good as a woman. I may have been biased, though. I feel like there was after what was it? After Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures, I was like, we were absolutely due for another spin-off with a female time lady. We needed the return of Ron. The Ronnie actually would have been great to have return. But I was going to say the return of Romana would have been good. But even better would have been the return of Jenny.
Yes.
And they blew it. They just blew it.
Think about this.
They are so focused on taking the current male character and making the male character female.
Yep.
That they forget that there were women that fans were already fans of, that what they have sidelined and forgotten. What about Susan Foreman returning?
Yes, but here's the thing with Jenny. Here's what they could have done with Jenny if they were hell-bent on making the Doctor a woman. This is what they could have done. Maybe the Doctor, for his final iteration, because he would have gotten to his 13th life sooner or later, you bring Jenny back because he needs to spend some time with Jenny. And then she takes over takes on the name because the Doctor finally dies, and then that's it. And it would have been a passing of the torch, and then you could have the Doctor be a woman, and that would have at least been canon accepted.
Do your neo-Marxist killing of the past. You kill off the Doctor, and Romana comes and takes his place. That would have been fine, and she claims the title of the Doctor.
Yes. That's what you could have done.
But no, that's not good enough for them.
No, they always do these things. They give the Doctor a daughter, we never see her again. I think she shows up in Big Finish productions now. It's like,
although there's of course the behind the scenes where she's actually Peter Davison's daughter, married to David Tennant, which is just weird. Her father's the Doctor, her husband's the Doctor.
Well, these are actors. It's okay.
I know, but it's still funny to think about when you consider it, Yeah. Oh, yeah. Darth Plato's bringing it up too. Yes. But yeah, and it wasn't Stephen Moffat who insisted keeping her alive at the end. They were going to originally kill her off, and they decided keep her alive so they could bring her back, and then they just didn't. I don't know.
With Harry?
No, Jenny.
Oh, Jenny. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. It's just
We'll get into all of
Well,
that
we're
at a
gonna
later
get into.
point.
We have Davies next week. That's the triumphant return. We're gonna do. We're gonna do a little bit. We're gonna do that dimensions and time thing, and then we can do the Paul McGann TV movie. Then we can get into finally into New Who, and then we'll follow with the Moffat era the following week, and that'll kind of wrap it up. I think. Yeah. Okay.
I thought the Doctor being a woman was a logical progression. Just Jodie Whittaker was the wrong actress to be the Doctor. She had no gravitas. She was
Well, I'm
goofy
gonna
as
say
hell. The
this.
writing was absolute bollocks. I think that's more the writing and the directing than it was the actress. But yeah,
when you make a change that big, and I don't even know if that would have made a difference with me to get me to watch. Your writing had better be better than it's ever been for me to get accepted, and it ends up not being. It
I
ends up
think
being
it
worse than it's
started.
been, and then you
Here's
yell at
where
me
it
for being a
started for most of
misogynist.
us. Here's where it started for most of us, and it was incredibly insulting to all of the fans of Doctor Who. They did a marketing campaign, this promo for the Jodie Whittaker era, where they literally had her breaking a glass ceiling. And it's like, and she's like, oops. And it's like, you have just shat on every female Time Lord that the fans have loved throughout the history of Doctor Who. We're done. I'm done. Again, we're dealing with these fourth wave feminists who ignore the second wave feminists of the 70s and 80s, who really were instrumental in the rights you have today, ladies. You know, that normalized, treating everyone as equal regardless of gender. Okay? Quit fighting the same fights over and over again. Guess what? First wave feminism gave you the right to vote. Nobody's taking that away. You have the right to vote. Second wave feminists made sure you had equal pay. Everyone that does the same work deserves the same pay. And nobody thinks differently to this day. Now you have to undo all of that to fight the same battles over again. That's what these modern fourth wave feminists are doing. It's not being well. I'll tell you what, women will lose the right to vote when we all lose the right to vote, which may happen if we don't have election reform. But now we're getting political. We're getting off of Doctor Who.
Well, I think we finished up for this week anyway.
I think so. Yeah.
We're going to get more into this. We're going to get to New Who next week.
If saying I have internalized misogyny makes those chicks feel better than sweet dreams to them, yes. Yes, in case you didn't know, Peter Venkman fan site is, I don't want to prescribe pronouns for you, but is female. You used to go by something else, right? Like Peter Venkman fangirl or something like that.
It's fine.
It took me whenever you folks change your YouTube handles, it takes me a little while to get used to it. I still keep calling the CluuStudio. I keep calling them Clue Channel. I'm still, getting used to it when you guys change. So.
Anyway, and I would like to thank Geek Flag for making that wonderful intro for us again.
Absolutely. I actually really enjoy what he does is he sends me a DM with the text, and I take the text. I do an AI voice, reader, and pair it up with either AI art or like clips from Doctor Who and stuff, and it's actually fun to do, and I did that today, and that was really cool. So thanks again to you Nate for that. That was a lot of fun. Let's look forward to the rest of the weekend. So first, I want to say Deleted Scenes channel. Last night, right after Netter's Network, he let you know everything he's got coming up this weekend on his coming attractions. Maybe go and check that out because he's got a lot of stuff this weekend. But tomorrow night or later tonight, depending on what time zone you're in, over on Netters Network, Retro Cinema. What's the movie?
Flight of the Living Dead.
Flight of the Living Dead. I'm getting sick of these MF and zombies on this MF and plane.
I'm expecting Samuel Jackson to be on there doing that in that movie.
I'm telling you. Well, there are. I've come to realize since we announced this film rewatch, there's actually some faces I recognize in there. And it's not. It doesn't look like as bad a film as the cover and title might imply. Might actually be a good movie. I'm looking more and more forward to this. So that's tomorrow night on Netter's channel at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. That's going to be a lot of fun. And just a reminder for those that are new around here or haven't joined us for a rewatch, we do provide an off-platform link so that you can watch the film along with us if you don't have your own copy, because can't show it on YouTube. So all you get is the commentary here on YouTube, but the link is in the chat so you can watch the movie along with us. It's a lot of fun. Hope to see you tomorrow night on Netters Network. Sunday, after a whole bunch of things that Deleted Scenes is doing, what do we got coming up, Boomer?
We have Geeky Geezers, and we'll be talking about kind of a mishmash of stuff. I know we're going to talk about the Mission Impossible trailer unveil because that came out from CinemaCon last week, and just a bunch of other topics. Do we have any more deaths this week? I think we do, don't we? That's not a good lead for that series.
Yeah, we do. We do have an in remembrance. I can't recall off the top of my head. I'll have to take another look.
Yeah, but we'll be talking about some more Switch 2 news. That's not good, but I'm not like the other people that are harping on this and treating it like it's the end of the world. But I'm also not excited either. I'm sort of in the middle. You know, it's like,
I get.
I mean, you don't have to buy it, and I'm probably not going to buy it. But I also not losing my crap over it either. Yeah, but anyway, that's it. That's this Sunday. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that later, Nate. Don't worry about that. Yeah. It's not enough that you decide to make the doctor female, but then you denigrate the idea of a male doctor, saying that female doctor is an
We'll get there. We'll touch on that probably right after the Moffat era. We'll do a little bit on Whitaker because we're not going to spend a ton of time on the Chimballs era.
So Monday night. For members, I have a poll up right now, and I may have to call it at this point. You probably have until I get up tomorrow morning if you want to get another vote in, members. But on my community tab, I've got a members poll for the movie on Monday. And right now, Arsenic and Old Lace is winning. We've watched it before on, I can't remember if it was Netter's channel or Big Al's channel, but that's okay. I am fine with watching Arsenic and Old Lace. The other choices were The Edge from 1997, Bell Book and Candle from 1958, and I Saw the Devil 2010. And I do have to say, I Saw the Devil is in last place, but I am very interested in that film. I may re-add that for future polls. That's a Korean horror film from 2010 that I haven't seen and I'm kind of interested in. So I might have to double check that one. So yes, I do believe that was Ruby Hoove's pick. So tomorrow morning I'll double check this and set up the stream. But right now, Arsenic and Old Lace is in the lead. And if you would like to join us every Monday night for as little as $2 a month, you become a member and you're eligible to join us for Monday Night at the Movies. Tuesday, I am doing my best to be ready for Sparkwood and 21, live from Sparkwood and 21, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Deleted Scenes channel. I am trying to put together a presentation to wrap up the secret history of Twin Peaks. So that is the plan for Live from Sparkwood 21.
Cool.
Followed immediately by the next episode of Blake 7 on my channel. I'll be simulcasting that on Netter's channel. So if you're a Doctor Who fan and you don't know what Blake 7 is, well, you need to join us because Blake 7 was another great sci-fi channel from the BBC. So that is Tuesday night. Thursday night on Netter's Network. What do we got going on your channel on Thursday?
It's just us shooting the breeze. I am looking for guests for Thursday things. So if you are interested in being a guest, either you want to try and grow your channel, or maybe you're SME, there's something you are super passionate about that you want to discuss and let other people know about this great thing that you are into, drop me a DM on Twitter. Let's get you on.
Yep, absolutely.
Otherwise, you get to listen to me and Troy ramble from week to week because I don't have a guest.
Peter
Like last
Venkman,
week's ramble, though. I will say that.
Yeah, it was fun. The Peter Venkman fan site says thanks to PBS because we wouldn't know about a lot of these British shows otherwise back in the day. But as JPRPH1 points out, Blake 7 is no longer on BritBox. So unless you have your own physical media, you might want to join us on Tuesday nights just to get caught up on Blake 7. Okay, Flappy on my bunch with lettuce and mayo. Oh, that's terrible, Mark. That is terrible.
What's he talking about? Flappy?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's having flappy wings on toast. I fell asleep during Gambit and missed it. Oh, I'm sorry, JVRPH1. That was actually a really, really good one. I think it's still on either Tubi or Plex. Well, let me know, guys. Check that out and let me know if that's the case. One day, Netter's Network, I'd reserve that and have we shoot an episode here on my railroad. That might be actually kind of fun, Mark. Yeah.
Cool.
Let's talk about that and see if we can't work that out. That could be kind of fun. But and then that brings us around to next Friday. We going with part 4 on Doctor Who.
We're going. We will do Dimensions in Time. Talk a little bit about the Paul McGann TV movie, and we'll go straight into the Russell T Davies era with Eccleston and David Tennant. There we go.
Welcome, Wolfie. What streaming program am I using? I'm using EVMux, or is that EvMux? I'm not really sure how it's pronounced, but it's almost half the price of StreamYard, and it provides you with more service per tier. So I'm obviously not. This isn't a sponsored stream, but it's what I prefer. Fantastic Four is dead in the water. We are going to have a Johnny Storm who's not a womanizer, and the movie will tackle gender politics, according to the actress playing Sue Storm. Yes.
Well, maybe we will add that to our story roster.
I will.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
There you go.
All right. Cool.
Because I'm transitioning to EVMux too. StreamYard. Yes. Look, dude, not only did they hike the prices, they, in the middle of a annual subscription for me, they cut my service because they changed the service tiers, which I think is absolute bull crap. Absolute bull crap. I will never do business with them, even if they start giving it away for free.
Maybe that's something we can discuss on Thursday Things. You can tell people all about EVMUX, what you know about it, and different features and things that you think that they might enjoy.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah, so here's the thing, Colleen. It's the difference between American and British, whether it's Omega or Omega. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. It was criminal what StreamYard did to the pricing model. It's not been the same since they got bought out. Yeah. I don't know. They were bought out by an Italian company. I'm assuming that it's mafia related. That's the only explanation that I have. And reminder, I've got a vowel at the end of my name, so I can get away with saying that. And my plan is limited to, while the other plans are flipping expensive, have better privileges. The fuck? Yeah, no. Get over to EVMux. There is a learning curve on EVMux, and if you need advice, I'm happy to help you. Culture Casino helped me out, so I super, super appreciate him. But anyway, so there we go. That was our show for tonight. Did we miss anything we needed to cover, Boomer, that we should have and didn't and whatnot?
No, I think that covers it. I did send you a message about that story, so we'll add that to the notes for Sunday. We didn't do much on the Marvel stuff, so I think it's time we talk about Fantastic Four. All right,
you bet. Sounds that's an excellent point. Ned, or anything I missed or didn't cover that I should have done?
I don't think so. We keep crying about our brand new TV, so you'll probably hear about that a few more times.
Yeah.
It's like a brand new toy that we just want to share with everyone.
It really
Toys
is.
are nice.
It's just more Troy's toy than mine because he controls the TV.
The horizontal and the vertical?
He controls the TV from his computer, so he can put things up to share. The now very tiny remote control, because the other one was huge, is on his side of the room.
We're still trying to figure it out, because these newfangled TVs, she can share things from her phone, but right now we're only getting audio, we're not getting video, so we got to figure out how that works. There's always a learning curve on this technology for us old farts, you know. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But,
and if I can find the video, I will explain to you what midget please means.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk maybe about that on Thursday. It's worth it. That would be a great title for the episode, Troy's Toys. There you go. Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, I thank you so much. All of you are so wonderful. You really are. I want to thank everybody who sponsored tonight's stream, the members, the super chats, the gifted memberships. You guys really do make it possible for me to continue doing this. And let me be honest with you, it gets harder and harder all the time. So I thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. As Netter says, you are Osmo. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Good night, ladies. Good night, sir. Hit it, sweetheart.
The neon lights are fading, closing time is near. Whispers in the corners, secrets shared sincere. The bartender's polishing the final glass. Time slips away like moving through the grass. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, from me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we've spun. Here's to the laughter and to what's begun. The shadows are dancing as we linger still. Every clink of a glass, a memory to distill. Beneath this smoky haze, our feelings they unfurl. A tapestry of whispers in this corner of the world. The jukebox serenades us with a final tune. crooning to the lonely and the lovers under the moon. With every soft note, the end draws ever near. But in this fleeting moment, there's nothing to fear. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, for me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we